Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a preview and predicted 11 live stream, as well as, of course, covering all sorts of Chelsea news that does come out just randomly, and we're like, what on earth is going on now? But yeah, Chelsea are to face Manchester City away from home at the Etihad Stadium tomorrow with the early kickoff at 12:30 UK time. Yeah. I don't like early kickoffs. I don't like playing City away in the first place. So, but then again, do I hate early kickoffs? I don't even know. At the same time, it's also like, it's a Saturday, you get up quite late, and then like first thing that kind of happens is just Chelsea's on. So, swings and roundabouts like that. But, drama at left wing back again. Thomas Tuchel basically losing his shit over potentially other games being called off for reasons other than the Rona and like, AFCON and injuries. And he's like, sorry, what's going on type thing. But yeah, there's a lot to get through. And obviously, it's one of the biggest games we can possibly have. And if I tweeted this yesterday and I did, make a poll as well, even though I have my own opinion, I was just wondering what other people thought. Whether people think that if Chelsea beat City tomorrow, which of course is an if, but if Chelsea beat City tomorrow, could we still win the title? And someone made a fair point. Well, obviously, could, yes, but will, no. I'm like, okay, fair enough. But obviously, if we don't win tomorrow, it's done. If we win tomorrow, maybe there's a teeny tiny chance because obviously then we close the gap from 10 points to 7 points, but it's still 7 points. So, and are we really, are City even going to drop 7 points? Let alone are we going to score every single point from now on onwards? So, it's difficult. It's certainly difficult, but it's a big game regardless. And I'm joined by three very, very special guests. Jem, it's been a minute. Actually, I don't even know. It's not been that long, but it's been a couple of weeks, I think. So cheers for coming back on. How you feeling? Off air, you were just pretty excited about the game. So, positive feelings ahead of the game.
Yeah, thanks for having me as always again. I love coming over and chatting to you guys as well. I'm quite excited for tomorrow's game. I know a lot of people are nervous. It is a game that I do think we need to win if we're going to try and challenge or at least try and win this title. It's a game we're going to have to win 100%, but I think we can do it. I do think we can do it. So we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens for sure. I mean, if at full strength, I certainly would back ourselves to get it done. But obviously, with being lacking our strongest players in two very, very important positions, plus our £100 million striker not really working at the moment, that makes me less confident than I say I was when we played the Champions League final. Pice, what about you? I'm not going to say you're usually a pessimist, but maybe not quite as confident as Jem is. So how do you feel over the game tomorrow?
I mean, it's a hard one, 12:30, I think. It's going to be difficult. I think maybe if there was a time I wanted to play City, it would be 12:30. I just think maybe, it's an even playing field. There's not all day to wait. There's probably limited time to train and think as well ahead of the game. So I think, it's I think we'll both be really fresh and it will be interesting to see what happens. I think the formation as well from us will be interesting. City as well have got two Rona cases, I believe, that haven't been announced. Pep didn't want to announce them. So, I mean, I don't know.
Anything who it might be? Or
I haven't. I tried to find out, but I haven't heard anything. I saw one rumour that one was Nathan Ake, which would be like typical, Man City luck in it not being one of their starting 11. But, I mean, we'll have to see. But it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a tactical game. I believe we'll have to defend in large portions of the game to get anything from it, being as it is away. But it was interesting because Tuchel did say, we went too defensive last time, all game. So I think there'll be a bit of a balance from us tomorrow. And it'll be interesting to see who starts, how we approach the game, and just how it goes, really, because I think we'll talk more about the formation, but I think City have got so many good technical little players and players that find the right spaces and passes that I am a bit worried about the four at the back if we do decide to go with that. I can't lie, because space has been evident every time we've played that. Just the teams haven't really taken advantage of it. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, exactly. I do agree. It's going to be very fascinating. I mean, you touched on what Thomas Tuchel said in the press conference already. We'll get into more detail to that in a minute. Appreciate the comment as well. I would love to say your name, but I'm probably more likely to butcher it, so insult you in a way. So I'm just going to call you mate. So cheers, mate. And Becky, Con will be on tomorrow. So nothing to worry about. Any which way, Clutch, of course, as always. Thank you for joining us as well. How do you feel ahead of the game tomorrow? A mix of Pice and Gem, maybe even more confident. That would be fun.
Yeah, it's in between these games. I know it's half noon for you guys, but it's pretty much as early as it's going to be for any kickoff for me. I mean, it's 7:30 in the morning for me, so I wake up bright and early. And unfortunately, I think this year the 7:30 games have been the ones that have downed my mood more than most games because I'm up early and then we get a disappointing result. But, I mean, it's not like we don't have the tools to beat City. Pep's a great manager. Tuchel's a great manager. So it's not like we can't do it. Even with Reece James and Ben Chilwell, I do think we have the ability to go out there and get a result. I do think if we are to have any hope to get to the title race, I think one of the only ways is, I mean, if we go out there and win tomorrow, that might spiral some sort of bad form into City, and they might start dropping points somewhere along the line. The unfortunate thing is they haven't played in probably a week and a half or something like that. I know they've had a little bit more rest than we have, and we just came off it's a higher intensity game against Spurs midweek, so it's going to be a little bit harder for us. How we approach the game is going to be very interesting. I know a lot of people are talking about we need to just do the same thing we did again for last year when we beat them all three times that Tuchel was around. I don't think we should do that. I think we should kind of change the plan up a little bit because, I mean, Pep's going to be kind of he's not going to get beat by the same thing 4 times. So I think we are going to need to change things up a little bit. But I'm fairly confident. I think we can. I have hope that we can do it. So it's not like I'm just totally dreading tomorrow because I think these are the kind of games, if you want to win championships, you have to win these games. I mean, I said it at Burnley and I said it at Man United. These are the games we got to win. And this is where our potential step up can bring it back.
Exactly. I mean, you do say we should change it up from those 3 games. We did change it up last time we played them and got absolutely battered. Not in results, but in terms of performance. So fair enough. Maybe we do need to change it. We'll get into that in more detail, obviously, later on. But don't change it to that again. But Thomas Tuchel has kind of confirmed that anyway. Very impressively, in my eyes. Very, self-critical. Very reflecting, if that's the right word. Reflective, maybe. Whatever. Basically saying he just got it wrong, It turned out we were way too defensive and we couldn't beat their press. And then we were just defending our box for the whole game. And he said it wasn't intended that way, but in the end, his switch of formation, playing a proper 3-5-2 with Timo and Lukaku up top and then a proper flat midfield 3. Don't even think Mason Mount started the game, if I'm honest. Just didn't work at all. So I like to hear that because that means we're not going to do it tomorrow. And I didn't want to see that again tomorrow. We'll get into the Man City talk in just a minute because otherwise we're just chopping and changing topics a little bit too much for my personal preference. So let's start it off with a few news outside of the game tomorrow. Number one, well, I guess let's just start with the whole left wing back drama because, we have recalled Kenedy from Flamengo, his loan in Brazil. I'm still a bit confused. Why? And he also seems very confused. There were quotes coming up by him. He's like, well, I was told yesterday because, Chelsea asked me to present myself, and here I am to present myself. I'm like, all right, fair enough. He doesn't really seem to know what's going on. The problem is that Bosch, I forgot his first name, the Lyon manager, has, in his press conference ahead of Lyon's game this weekend, stated that Emerson Palmieri will stay until the end of the season. Now, obviously, as far as we're publicly aware, at least, we haven't yet given up on it. But if the manager makes statement as such, even though it doesn't make it completely impossible for it to still happen, like there's plenty of, examples in history of managers saying, oh, he's not going anywhere and sold 2 days later or loaned out 2 days later. But obviously, it doesn't really happen that often that, a club loans a player out. And then they're like halfway through the season, we need him back. But the club he's loaned to doesn't want to give him back. That doesn't really happen often. So there's not much of not many examples to go by, really. So let's see how that one goes. But I mean, both Matt Law and Nazar Kinsella have said, Kennedy's kind of brought in as a stopgap, kind of the theory I came up with when this whole drama, started building the other day. that Kenedy was called back just in case we can't get anybody else, or in particular Emerson. And they have said we still have other like pots in the pan or whatever the expression is. But yeah, who? Because if not Emerson, what bloody hell then? I mean, yeah, the interest in this seems to be serious, and Barcelona seem to be apparently willing to loan him out, even though they want to sell him in eventually. It didn't sound like they will force an obligation. They might be okay with an option. Also, it said that if we want the right wing back that we can't get on loan, we would prefer a veteran right wing back, because we know about Tino Livramento and we have a buyback clause in 2023. But me and Pice were talking on WhatsApp, and I was like, I can't even think of a veteran right wing back. Like, who would you even get? The only thing I said is, thank God it's not Conte that's our manager anymore, because we're linked to bloody Candreva again, even though the guy's like 38 at this point. But Pice, I'll go to you second. Or maybe I'll let you go last, because you're probably the most annoyed about this whole situation. But actually, I'm not 1,000,000% sure on Jem's opinion, if I'm honest. But Jem, what do you think about all this? Kenedy callback, struggling to get Emerson back from a bloody loan. Do you know what I mean? Like, we struggle to sign players, fair enough. But struggling to get our own players?
Slightly confused, not going to lie. I did see all over social media, people were very annoyed with the signing. I mean, he left Chelsea at a spell at Chelsea for a reason, because he wasn't good enough for this football club. I know he had a decent spell at Newcastle, which wasn't a bad spell actually for him. Whether we can get that level of performance, or Tuchel can get that level of performance.
Even that, sorry to interrupt you, even that spell is like 3 years ago at this point, is it not?
Exactly. So, I don't know. It's a weird one for me, because I kind of understand why we haven't rushed and signed a left wing back. I was one for actually getting it done in the January, and then I thought about who. And then I was thinking, the ones that I actually do want, we're just not going to get in January. They're long-term targets. And then you saw the Lucas Digne thing sort of fizz out, which again, I back, because they didn't want to sign. They didn't want to spend 25 million on Lucas Digne, because he wasn't their long-term plan. They wanted him on the loan deal and then send him off in the summer, basically. But in terms of Kenedy, I just think it's a numbers thing. Like, I think they've brought him in knowing that Alonso's maybe not the best, even though I think he will start more games than him potentially. I think it's more of a backup thing more than anything. But the issue we really have is, are we going to stick with the 3-4-3, or we're going to go to are we going to stick with the 4-2-2-2, or the 4-3-3 as you like to call it? Because if we do switch to the back four, I don't see Kenedy getting in that system. The only way I see Kenedy getting in that team is if we play the 3-4-3. Now, I think in terms of recovery speed and speed alone, Kennedy's a lot quicker than Alonso. I actually also think potentially he might be better taking on players and getting forward, which I think is probably going to be his strengths. The biggest issue with Kenedy is his defensive aspect. So you have a very good offensive player, I'm not say very good, a decent offensive player going forward, but maybe one that can't defend. And I don't know, maybe he will just be used in games, maybe at home when we're playing against low blocks and we're struggling to open them up. Maybe we know that Alonso don't really give us much offensively, that maybe you could give Kenedy a go to maybe try and, hog that wing, take players on, create space. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Tuchel has seen something that he thinks Kenedy could add that we haven't got at the moment, going forward more so, I think. But it's like I said, if we played the back four, if we do decide to stick with the back four moving forward, because I do think part of the reason he's done that is because we haven't got the wing backs to play the usual system anyway. So he's had to try and do something differently and try and accommodate more forwards in this system. So I think it's going to be interesting. Like I said, back four, Kenedy don't get in. Alonso just about gets in, shall we say. I actually prefer Malang Sarr from what I saw the last game. But again, can't jump the gun because you just don't know if it's just a one good game.
According to Tuchel, at least.
Yeah. So for me, Kennedy's a bit of an up in the air thing. But again, like I said, going into summer and having 5 left backs, I get why we called one of them back. Kenedy for me would have probably been.
And in that equation, we didn't even include Kenedy. So arguably, we have like 7.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is he'd probably be one of our last choices when you think about the left backs we had available to bring back in, and he's been brought back. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we're trying to fight to get a bit of value for him so that we can actually start selling some of these players. Maybe that's another thing. I don't know.
I'm still hoping that we just give Kenedy to Lyon for free. Just have it, please. Just take it and give us Emerson. That's my hope. It's clearly not happening, but ideally that would be what we're doing. I'll go to you, Clutch. The weird thing about this whole Kenedy stuff is, and I saw someone in the chat, Becky said Kennedy's better than Alonso, to be fair. Now, the problem with Kenedy is, and I don't want to sit here slagging off the Brazilian league, but he played in the Brazilian league and wasn't even a starter there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like his recent loan spells, Jem mentioned the Newcastle loan there. He was also on 2 decent loans in La Liga at Granada and somebody else. Getafe, maybe? Was it somebody else? Someone, anyway. And he actually had, especially at Granada, he actually had a good loan spell. Like Granada finished 6th in the Liga with him and he was scoring goals. He was playing, started pretty much every game, like playing in Europa League, getting goals there as well. Like, honestly, not playing badly. But that makes me even more confused by why after such a loan spell, he ends up going on loan to Flamengo in Brazil. Like, again, no offense to Brazilian football. Of course, they create some of the greatest talents this sport has ever seen. But their league isn't quite like, the best in the world. So after having a good loan spell in the Spanish league, why would you end up in Brazil if you're good? Do you know what I mean? So that's what makes me not really be particularly confident. The fact that he went from a Spanish league club to a Brazilian league club. That's kind of my big worry. Even though when you think back to Kenedy, is he the worst player in the world? No. We bought him with some promise. We played him at wing back a couple of times as well, even got goals from wing back. I mean, I will hit you with a damning stat, and I'm sure Pies is probably aware, but especially Pies will find this a very damning stat. Kenedy has the same number of Premier League goals as Callum Hudson-Odoi. So, that says a problem for both Callum and for Kenedy, in all honesty, but it's a problem anyway. But I'll let you react to that in a minute, Pies. But Clutch, what's your reaction to this situation where, like, obviously when we initially recalled Kenedy and we all lost our shit for like 20 minutes, and then it kind of, it's not actually as our left wing back solution. But now it seems like it might be our left wing back solution. So when he's not, and maybe just back up, I don't mind it so much. But if we can't get Emerson back and he actually is the backup, I'm like, what are we doing?
I think I'm going to be a little bit more negative than most people with. I don't think this is a Tuchel decision. I think this is here's your options. Do you want him in case we don't get Emerson? And Tuchel was like, well, if I can't spend money, I guess this is what I got to have because I need backup because I can't just keep playing players out of position all the time. I mean, I think that's kind of the reason why Dest is being mentioned. Is he's not going to be a super expensive option, especially if you can get him on loan. And I mean, is he going to do a job? Sure. Is he going to be great? No, I don't think he's going to be the solution that we need. But it is January, and I do understand from the club's perspective that you do have like 7 different left wingbacks on the roster, and you kind of need to get rid of like at least 4 of them first before you could actually start thinking about signing somebody else. But for me, I think it's about what are the ambitions of this club? Are you confident that even though you may think the Premier League's out of reach for you, do you think Alonso and Kenedy or Alonso and Emerson are going to be the pairing that's going to push you towards Champions League? I mean, maybe FA Cup, maybe Carabao Cup. I do think they would be able to do a job there, but Champions League, are they going to be able to make the run that we had last year? Are they going to be good enough for that? I mean, I don't think so. I think, and that's what also my problem with Dest is, but also what's the other option? Aspie or Pulisic or Callum? So for me, I'm a little bit more negative. I think it's more of, I'm not going to say it's the club not backing him, but maybe the club's financial situation isn't what we thought it is, and we think that we have to save money in the summer because we got a lot of big targets we want in the summer rather than trying to spend it now. I mean, it's going to be hard because the summer we got to spend a lot of money just to fill holes and kind of gaps, especially with the other players that are rumored to be leaving right now. So for me, I think it's more about, can Kenedy do a job? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, like you said, he's been playing in the Brazilian league, and I mean, it's not particularly the greatest league, and for me, I think, yes, I would have liked somebody different, but I think there needs to be solutions, and the fact that we seem to not be able to get Emerson is a problem.
That is a problem. I mean, it makes sense in a way. Like, if you deep it, it's like, well, we and Lyon and Emerson all signed a contract for Emerson to go on loan to Lyon, right? So essentially get it, and without having a recall clause in this contract, you can't just get someone, if that makes sense. And it's a weird one because you would think that, right, about the whole situation. And I was like questioning, with Emerson, I was like, yeah, who knows? Maybe Tuchel just doesn't rate Digne. Not saying that he never said that he rates Emerson super highly, but maybe he just doesn't rate Digne. plus obviously the money spent. I kind of saw the logic. But in Kenedy, I was like, when they said, oh, it was Tuchel's request. But then Tuchel said it so clearly how happy he is that Kenedy is back today at the press conference. I was like, really? I mean, fair enough. Hey, who am I to tell Thomas Tuchel what he's right and wrong about? But I mean, that's what I do here. But obviously, he's not meant to care what I say. He's meant to just do what he thinks is best, and I'm meant to comment. So but he seemed to be very excited about it when asked, like, is he? But he then also said, like, he wasn't quite like, oh, he's basically our left back backup now. He was like, is he the solution? No, but he can be a solution if that makes sense. So I'm not really sure where that leaves us, if I'm being completely honest. But Pice, firstly, please react to Hudson-Odoi and Kenedy both having 4 Premier League goals. Just because when I saw that the other day, someone tweeted it to me, because even though we're talking about something completely different, certain Callum haters were like, look at this. I'm like, it's not the topic right now, but it's still crazy. But yeah, the whole situation, I presume you're more on the lines of Clutch.
Yeah, I mean, with Hudson-Odoi, I've always said one of his criticisms is he doesn't score goals. He's more of a creator, more of a dribbler. So I think you see that in his creative stats as well. He gets very good creative stats, but hardly ever scores. It just is what it is. But he does have the ability to score nice goals. I mean, I know it was against Chesterfield, but that shot was brilliant. And he doesn't really ever do that. He showed the confidence. So hopefully he can score more goals. But in terms of Kenedy, I mean, like, what do you say? I mean, I'm on the lines with Clutch here. Like, what are our expectations? Like, is this our standards, Kenedy, in 2022? Like, even Emerson, like, at least with Emerson, I don't want Emerson Alonso in the Champions League or even the Premier League, but at least Emerson's got somewhat more experience and he's, at least a solid-ish player. But with Kenedy, it's like. Let's put it this way. I was watching I went over a couple of matches from Flamengo earlier before I came on stream because I gathered we was going to talk about this, and I was just like,
this is why I get Pice involved. My man does all sorts of research. There you go. Got him.
Yeah, I was watching some individual clips of him, just cut into different segments, and he was like, I don't know whether it was the intensity of the league, but it's so slow. And Kenedy was, yeah, he looked like he was struggling with the intensity even there, and it was just like, yeah, this ain't good. I mean, one of the ones, I actually turned my laptop off because he went down the left-hand side, went on like a dribble and just ran out of play. And I was like, yeah, I've seen enough. Just turned my laptop off. So, yeah, he tried to cross the ball, like miskicked it and ran it out of play. And I was just like, fucking hell, like, is this...
Sounds like Lukaku Spurs, to be honest, mate.
It's just like... I don't know, man. Like, seriously, like, it's just not... This is not Chelsea Football Club. Or at least I hoped it wouldn't be. Like, it's just our standards are in the gutter right now, man. Like, these are our options. And I feel like what Clutch said is 100% true. It's like Tuchel's been presented these options. Like, here is your options. This is what we're going to give you. This is what it's going to have to be. And they've kind of just mutually agreed with it. Whether or not we get Dest, I'm not sure. But the worrying thing for me is it's not Emerson and Dest. It's Emerson or Dest or Kenedy or Dest, it seems to be. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem like Dest is an extra addition. It seems like he will be coming in, if anything. Like, I think Dest only comes in if Kenedy goes on loan and Emerson can't be recalled back, because he can play on both sides, for me personally. That's what I've been seeing. So, yeah, I don't know what the ambitions are with Chelsea, whether the money's low, whether they just don't want to do any business. I mean, Matt Law said something interesting on London is Blue podcast earlier. He said he has a feeling in his back of his head that Chelsea would rather do no business than any business. But then again, he said at the same point, well, Chelsea really want to back Tuchel. So I was like, well, the dots aren't adding up here. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it doesn't sound good, man. Like, it's going to be another one if we bring someone in. It's going to be near the end of the window. And like me and you were saying, Laurenz, the other day, what is Dest's real use if we keep playing this back four? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point in him? Like, James is going to be eventually back. He hardly plays on the left-hand side, as I know. He can play there. Well, yeah, cool. Pulisic can play right wing back. Doesn't mean he's good there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, it's abysmal.
Good analogy. I love it.
Like we should have fucking like proper targets, bro. Like, it goes back to planning again. I always go back to the planning. These guys, this club, right? Can I just remind everyone listening? After the first scan of Ben Chilwell, the doctors recommended he have surgery. There is no chance in hell. It was so naive of them to let it go for a month. And in the background, okay, fair enough. If you let it go for a month, you at least plan in the background. We are not doing. We didn't do any planning. We didn't. It's been factually proven in the market. We only kind of was interested in Digne because it was an opportunity. We was only kind of interested in Trippier. We saw it alone, according to Jacob Steinberg. He was only interested in him because it was an opportunity. We haven't done any scouting of ourselves. We've gone to our loan list, and again, that's an opportunity. He's not in Xavi's plans. These are all opportunities. We've not done any scouting. We've not, it's fucking abysmal, Laurenz. It really is. It's not good. It's really not good.
Profile. It's profile, bro, and that's the. I think
we employ scouts. We should have. This is Chelsea.
I know, but
this is Chelsea Football Club, bro. We should have some of the best targets in the game, bro. This is not good enough.
You don't do that in January. You don't.
No. I don't want to hear that, man. Like, I don't want to hear that. You can do really good deals in January.
Name me a main profile player. Name me a main. If Chelsea have main targets like Koundé and Tchouameni and De Ligt, you think any of them would be coming in January if we were? No,
we're not talking about those profile players in terms of high profile players. We're not talking about that. We're talking about someone that can come in short term, that has been scouted, that can come in maybe on a loan deal. Tuchel shouldn't have such little options.
I don't think there is many options though. That's the problem.
No, but we're fans. We're fans. We're fans. If I looked into it, good and I'll give you a good example. Actually, I don't know why I didn't revert to this. The Athletic, Simon Johnson, did a whole. I remember, I think it was the 1st of January or the 2nd of January. They did a whole list of an extensive scouting report on the left wing backs that Chelsea could attempt to sign, either on loan or permanent. I was reading through of it. If you haven't seen it, go and read it or subscribe to it. It's brilliant. I can't remember some names, but there was a couple from the Spanish league who had amazing in-depth stats. You know what I mean? These guys these are not scouts, but yet they've managed to find extensive information on players that are out there. We're not good enough. We don't care enough to back our managers. It's as simple as that. It's not good enough.
Jem, do you want to add something to that?
I agree. No, I agree with him. I do. I get where he's going with it, but I bite my tongue a little bit to it as well because it's for me. It's like you look for what is it that we want, and I get in January we should have improved the left wing back, right wing back areas, but are we bringing in an individual that will allow us to compete at the highest order, i.e. Premier League, Champions League? Because I don't think there is anyone out there to do that. That's my point. Or are we just looking for someone that can come in and just do a job until Chilwell comes back in? Because if you're looking at someone to just do a job, I'm not saying Kennedy's the perfect person, but I don't think there's many players that can play as a wing back in world football. I know you're saying scouting need to do what they need to do. Even if they found a 19-year-old young Spanish player at Osasuna that was great at doing it, who's to say that he's going to be able to play at the level that we require him to do now? Do you get what I mean? So this is why I'm saying profile of player is important, because not only do they need to talk to Tuchel about the future in terms of system, because if Tuchel goes, you know what, F the 3-4-3, in the long run, I'm going to play 4 at the back and I need to have a DM, which means I need to maybe get another striker and another proper winger, then at least we have that, it's picking your players properly rather than just picking players. And that's what Chelsea have done the last couple of seasons. Just get that one. We'll throw that one in there, but not thought about the system. We've just brought all these players and tried to just, make them work. And that's the issue. I think it's the picking of the players.
But we have always signed high-profile players. Even if they don't fit the system, they were all high-profile.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, no,
but we don't back managers.
Werner,
so that's the bigger problem.
Yeah, again, we bought that profile. Yeah, I get that high-profile footballer, but the player that we're bringing in, we're not thinking about the system. We're just bringing them in. So they can do that. We're not actually thinking about it.
The problem was in our last big transfer window, we still had Lampard, and now we have Tuchel, obviously. So that changed everything.
Laurenz, I'm going to finish up and I'm done. Yeah, but listen to this. The Lukaku thing, for example, right? Mm-hmm. What was the one thing that we all banged on about at the beginning of the season that we needed? A goal scorer. Yeah. So we went to go and look for Haaland, right? We couldn't get Haaland, so we ended up getting Lukaku. Now, I'm not saying that Lukaku's not perfect for Chelsea, but for me, in the 3-4-3 system, it don't work. I don't think it works with him. If you're going to play him in the 4-2-2-2, it works. But then again, what we've done is brought someone that can put it in the back of the net, and that's not actually thought about how he fits in with the squad and the system that we currently play. That's my problem with the way we're doing things, and that tells me that they're not talking to Tuchel. They should be talking to Tuchel,
it's a weird one because I kind of see a mix of what both you and Pice just did there, because I completely agree with Pice. Where are our standards? But at the same time, I agree with what Jem just said. Maybe we have actually fixed the whole standard problem, and that's why we're not signing a player right now, because the players that fit our standards are currently unavailable. So then it makes more sense to keep one of the God knows how many stupid players we signed over the last few years. We already made those mistakes. You can't rectify those right now. But it makes more sense to, rather than adding another mistake, essentially, sorry to call Alonso and Emerson and Kenedy and all these guys and Baba Rahman all mistakes, but they are, right? Not by their parents, but by Chelsea, right? So I see that logic in a way. And also, like, especially now that what you said there, Pice, that Matt Law said, where they're actually trying to back Tuchel. Let's not forget where Tuchel just came from. He just came from PSG. As far as I'm aware, the biggest squad in world football. Like, they literally have 35 players in their squad. Like, and not barely any of them are on loan. Like, they literally have a 30-plus player squad just sat there. And you know how Tuchel didn't enjoy PSG for various different reasons. Like, the way he speaks about it now, he clearly didn't have a great time, even if no matter how you judge how successful or not successful it was, right? So maybe it's also him a little bit. It's like, okay, I do want a left wing back, but the left wing backs I want, I'm not going to get right now. And the left wing backs that we could get right now, they're not going to be good enough come the summer when we can sign better players. So then what's the point in signing someone like that? Because someone in the chat asked earlier, how are Villa beating us to Digne? Villa didn't beat us to Digne. We decided to not pursue Digne. That's why Digne is at Villa right now. But again, obviously, this is pure speculation. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying Pice is wrong. I'm not saying, I don't know, Jem is wrong or Clutch are wrong. I'm just saying there are a few different ways to look at this current situation and these current problems, and all of them could be right. Yeah, sure, some are more likely, some are less likely, but all of them have some sort of credibility to them or some sort of logic to them, whatever you want to call it, because I think Jem made a good point, and it doesn't really matter whether it's Emerson or it's Kenedy or it's Digne. Would any of them really be a significant difference in genuinely trying to beat City to the league title? In my opinion, no. Like, yes, would Digne be a bit better than maybe Alonso? Yeah, probably. But would he be enough better for us to challenge City? No. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Good enough in the Champions League and good enough in the Cups and the Premier League, though. Kenedy, Emerson aren't good enough for that. That's the point.
Well,
yeah. I mean, Kenedy for sure. Emerson...
Yes,
I don't
Emerson cannot defend.
No, yeah, maybe he can't, sure, but...
Do you know what? I feel like I agree with Pliers 100% when he says Kennedy's crap and this. That. We only can go based on what we've seen in the past, yeah. But I'm kind of slightly reluctant because I know how good Tuchel is at getting the best out of players. So I'm just like, is he going to make Kenedy actually look decent? Like,
I think that's the problem with it itself, though.
Yeah. If he does do that, then it's on Tuchel. I don't want to see anyone saying, "Oh, well done, the board. You're really smart. Well done. That was actually the right thing to do." Like, one. It's on Tuchel if he makes him good. That's on him. That still doesn't make the situation right. And I know there'll be people saying, you wanted to buy someone. Oh, look, Kennedy's actually been good. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, seriously.
I think this club has been relying off the last 6 months Tuchel's ability to turn water into wine. I mean, just think about a month and a half ago. Are we going into the game? Are we okay with going into games with Sarr or Saul playing? No, we'd be very upset. And now all of a sudden, he somehow got the best out of these guys. So, I mean, he's a great manager, and that's the problem. If you back a great manager, you're going to get great results. But expecting him to always kind of make these miraculous changes is never a good way to go about it. I agree, you're probably not going to get anybody good enough. But at the same time, these are problems that it's not like we haven't had these problems for 2-3 years now.
No, of course, but we can't change the problems and the mistakes we made. Like, we can only do what's now. Do you know what I mean?
No, you can't. But because at this moment, we're going to go into the summer. We're probably going to be looking at 200-300 million alone with what we need, because we're going to have to sign a DM. We're going to have to sign a center back, maybe two, depending on if two of them leave.
One of them will be free, Clutch. One of them will be free, centre-backs. It'll either be Shule or Kamara. So one of them will be free. I can tell you that for now.
Is Kamara a centre-back?
Yeah, he can play centre-back, yeah, and a
I
free.
thought it was a CDM. I thought it was more of a
No,
DM.
He's originally a centre-back. He moved into DM.
Ah.
But would we sign him as a centre-back or as a DM?
Both.
Well, are we not sure?
Versatility, probably a
That's what we
centre-back.
want, though.
Because he's, versatility. It's kind of like Rice, right? You sign Rice, even though it's not going to happen. He can play centre-back or DM. It's good options. But one of them, if we get two, like say Aspi leaves, I think, I'm not saying like direct replacements. I'm just saying like if Aspi leaves for free, then I think we'll get someone in free. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do. We might well do, mate.
I'm just so paying Dembele, man.
I'm not sure about that
Please
one
no.
still, you know. Let me just quickly read out this comment here by Jester, because especially the last part is a bit like, you know, just again, I mean, he's saying he's right and it's no waffle, but no reliable source has said this. So, you know, you might end up being right, but even if you are, it's still a guess. I'm telling you that, Jester.
Jorginho's not going, so I don't know where he's got that from.
No, exactly. And even if he does go and he says, oh, see, I said this in January, then it was still a guess right now and not knowing. But anyway, he said the left back position is more of a problem as Emerson and Alonso are not a fit, you know, both more being suited to wing backs. Although you say that Emerson plays left back for Lyon, plays left back for Italy when he does play. And when he's played at Chelsea under Tuchel, it was more at left centre back than at left wing back. So maybe in Tuchel's eyes, he's actually more suited to left back than left wing back. Not really sure why, but maybe. So that's another signing in the summer. A DM is a must because one, back four, and two, Jorginho going bye-bye. Yeah, I personally disagree on the Jorginho thing, but hey, well, we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, it's just difficult. Like, honestly, like what I really hate about the situation is that our board has a history of not backing managers, and that's why we are so almost scarred by not backing our manager that even when reports come out and say this is what Tuchel wants, we don't believe it because we cannot believe that that Tuchel would possibly want what our board wants. But what if he actually does? Like, I'm not saying it's likely or unlikely. I don't know. But I'm saying the reason why none of us believe it is because we haven't done it before. But at some point, like, you know, like if they ever were to change, the change has to happen at some point, and then we will always not believe them until we see the change being applied for a while for us to trust the change, right? So like that's the problem with change. That you're not sure, is this just a one-time thing or are we always going to be different now? Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of half of the problem. It's very, very difficult. I mean, as someone asked earlier, is Kenedy available for tomorrow? Whether he is or not, he's not going to be involved, right? So, you know, you don't really need to worry about that much. But let's actually get to talking about the Manchester City game. Again, spent way longer than I wanted to talk about this, but hey, so it happens. But by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't told you yet. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. We are getting very close to 13,000 subscribers. And we're still on the road to 15,000 subscribers. So get subscribed if you haven't already. Hit that big red subscribe button for me. And smash the like button as well, which helps me out with the algorithm a lot. You don't have to know what that means. Just take my word for it. It helps me out, get these videos out there to more people. So please smash the like button. Doesn't cost you any money, and it barely costs you any time as well. As you can see on screen, I did, for the time being, paint the lineup as a 3-4-3, 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it. But we actually have no idea whether that's what we're going to use or not. Like, we have zero clue whether that's what we're going to use. And the biggest problem in that is Andreas Christensen having caught the Rona. And also very interesting, Thomas Tuchel in the press conference today saying, Andreas Christensen, we've waited so long for him to be back properly, and now he is back and playing so well, best player on the pitch. That's what he said, literally. And now he's got that. So very confusing in terms of reaction to the last game when he subbed him off. So why did you sub him off then, if he was the best player on the pitch? So, but the game before that, he was very good. Not like the game before that. No, against Spurs, he wasn't even available. And then that was Chesterfield. So I don't understand. But still, not having Andreas Christensen puts us in the exact same position that we were in terms of number of players available at the back as we were against Spurs when we played the first leg against them last week. And post-game, or even pre-game to that, Thomas Tuchel said, we didn't have enough centre-backs to play a back three. Because at the time, Christensen was out, but Thiago was available for the first Spurs game, I think, still. Or was it not? Did we have neither available, actually?
Who? What?
When we played Spurs in the first leg.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
He was on the bench.
Christensen. Or do you
No,
have-
Christensen wasn't available, was he?
So maybe
I
we
think
had
Chris-
one less then when we played Spurs. Let me just figure that out.
Yeah,
I do apologize. I did have it all thought through in my head, and now I realized maybe I don't. No.
Christensen play, and then Silva come on. I'm sure.
That second leg, yeah, second leg. But
Well,
I meant first leg, mate.
First leg, it was Rudiger and Sarr starting, and Christensen nor Thiago Silva was available.
I guess, yeah. So then we do have one more player available than we did against Spurs. Because against Spurs, it was like, Tuchel was like, okay, we don't have enough centre-backs available to play the back three. Now, what we have available today is, or for tomorrow, is Malang Sarr, Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger, and Azpilicueta. So it's 4 centre-backs, but one of these 4 centre-backs in Aspi, there's a good chance he's playing wing-back. So do we play a back 3? Do we play a back 4? It's a tough one to call for me. I mean, I'll start with you, Clutch. Let's not do the whole prediction because, again, how on earth would we know? Would you go back 3 or would you go back 4?
If it was me, I would do a 4-2-3-1, but I have a high feeling that it's... I mean, if you want to be a little bit more defensive, this is the formation you want to go. But I would prefer the 4-3-2-1, but I'd probably just keep this on the screen.
Okay, Jim, what about you? Would you go back 3 or would you go back 4?
Back 3. I'll definitely be back 3. We've beaten them 3 times in a row with back 3. I know Clutch was saying like it's not going to happen the 4th time, but I actually do think they haven't sussed that out to play against that 3-4-3 completely properly. I know we played 3 at the back at home, but we played the 5 in midfield, and that sort of pushed us more into a 5-3-2 rather than a 3-5-2 because our wing backs got pushed so far back. So I'd stick to a 3-4-3. I'm just not. I like the 4. I think I like the 4 for the forwards mainly. Because you can have that additional forward, but I'm just worried about the space. But once we lose the possession of the ball behind in between, where maybe Kenedy and Kovacic might be. So I don't know. I'll say 3-4-3 for me.
I would probably be inclined to agree, and not like Lou put it in the chat, like in the terms of going defensive, but for a simple reason that we're playing one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the world, and I don't want to be playing a system which we've only tried twice. Like, we're playing one of the best teams in the world in a structure that we are not even good at ourselves. How are we going to beat one of the best teams at their best structure? That makes no sense to me. And like Jester said there, we would get absolutely destroyed in the back 4. But I did also think we would get absolutely destroyed in the back 4 when we played the back 4 against Spurs in the first leg. And we didn't get battered at all. We battered them. But they were also awful. And then in the second leg, we played the back 4 again. And on transition, we were struggling. I know, Pies, you didn't really see it that way. Obviously, when we did the player ratings, you didn't really see that Spurs were much of a threat. To me, they were way too much of a threat. Yes, maybe not always directly at goal, but there were way too many like last-ditch defensive moments by our defenders, by our goalkeeper, by having to hope that Spurs muck it up. That happened way too much. And Spurs are in the mud. Like, they really are. And it wasn't even Spurs' strongest team. Let's not forget that. They don't have Son. And, you know, Conte picked a somewhat weird team as it is. Like, I mean, they were playing Matt Doherty at left wing back, who's a very right-footed right back. Do you know what I mean? Like, the fact that they did that is crazy. And to now say, like, even they caused us trouble. For me, a back 4 against City would be very risky. And I tweeted this already. If he does it, Tuchel is a very, very brave man. And if he does it and it works, my mind is going to be blown. But Pice, for you, back 3 or back 4? Not again, not what you think Tuchel will do. You can obviously tell me that, but what I also want to know is what you would do.
Would like to do a back 3, but I don't think there is the option. So I think Tuchel will go over 4.
There's the option for the 3?
No, I don't. Well, there is the option, but I mean, it's not what I want. So I've planned for a 4-2-2, transitioning it into a 3 off the ball.
But is that not an acceptable back 3?
Yes, but I'm talking about wing backs.
Uh-huh. I mean, yeah, but we don't have good wing backs or left backs anyway. So like that was really
No, I know, but if you saw my team, I think like you'd understand it. It's a bit easy to understand.
I hear you. You know what I'll do then? In that case, I'll do 2 things. I'll get another page of this website with the chosen 11 up, and do 1 in a 3 and 1 in a 4. And we'll have to be a bit quicker but we'll kind of discuss too, because otherwise, like, I'll force Clutch and Pice into talking about a formation that they don't actually think will happen. And if we do the two, we'll force myself and Jem into a formation we don't actually think will happen. So that's why
I think the back three will happen. I just want a back four.
Yeah. But still, do you know what I mean? Just to make it a bit more interesting, mix it up a bit. How many predicted 11s have we done in the back three?
Laurenz, just on that Clutch point there. See, he thinks he'll. Did you say you think it will be a back three, Clutch?
Yeah, I think it'll be a back.
Yes, I don't. I think it'll be a back four.
I agree with Clutch. I think it will be a back three.
Oh, I don't. I think he said he went too defensive last time. I think he'll go.
But because of the midfield three, though, not because of the back.
Yeah, that's true. I think midfield 3-4-3.
Yeah, see, I thought about that point, but then again, I think Tuchel's the guy that will try and build on wins, and I think with them getting confident with this now, I think he might use it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That my counter argument to that would almost be how Tuchel spoke post Spurs second leg, where he was pretty unhappy, in all honesty. Like, he was happy that we made it through and made it to the final, but about the performance, he wasn't particularly pleased about. The fact that he brought on Thiago Silva and N'Golo Kante, who he both didn't want to play, or at least not that much, and changed the shape. Because when they came on, we immediately changed to a back three. We didn't keep the back four. So that tells me he wasn't happy with the back four. So that's why I personally think it's unlikely that he does it again. But I could be wrong. Sorry, one of you guys was trying to talk.
Yeah, I was saying I thought it was because of match sharpness that we brought him on.
No, he said
they both came back from the vid.
He didn't want to bring them on this early. He said that.
That early? I thought it was the right time to bring them on. Like, obviously, like the tie's settled and done by then. You got both of them whose sharpness aren't really all there. You give them 30 minutes, gets them a bit of sharpness in time for Man City, and then we start them for that game. I thought it was the right move, personally. I'm really surprised to hear that.
He said specifically that he didn't want Thiago Silva to play at all, that he just felt like we were losing control of the game, and Christensen was one of the
but Christensen had a bit of a pain in his stomach, so he had to come off, and Thiago Silva had to come on.
How about you shut your whore mouth? I know you kind of do. Respect your players.
I ain't respecting the player that wants to go. Anyway,
I hope you got no respect for Rudiger then. Man shook his
at least he's negotiating, isn't it?
Yeah, he shook his ass all over Europe and didn't get an offer. Now
at least he's negotiating. This one got given an offer and then turned his back on it because he thought Rudiger could get more. And that's the difference.
And Rudiger didn't turn his back on us because he thought he could get more.
Rudiger said what he wanted from the beginning. Christensen got offered what we thought he wanted, and then turned around and went,
my guy negotiates. God forbid a player negotiates.
Listen, Rudiger over Christensen any day. Let's move anyway.
Yeah, Christensen over Rudiger still.
Fair dues.
Well, both of them together is basically the Terry Carvalho regen.
Oh, shut up, man.
Yeah, but Thiago Silva still needs to play, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I replied that.
Yeah, back three, isn't it?
I do agree with the sentiment that, I mean, Rudiger did always say what he wanted. We didn't give it to him. I'm not saying there's something wrong with Christensen once saying, actually, I would like more. But twice verbally agreeing to a contract he's been offered and saying, that's fine, I'll sign it, essentially. And then not signing it. That's the part that people don't like.
He's not
Chelsea.
I understand that. He's not Chelsea. Let's just move anyway.
I hear what you're saying on the second time, but I still think it's a case of negotiation. My problem was that this got brought out to the fans because it just put him out as a villain. Like, I've just been going back and forth with Alex Goldberg about this. Like, I like Thomas Tuchel. Like, never ever slander him or anything like that, but I don't think it should have been brought out to the press because all it's done is villainize him.
Yo, Lewis, I like your points, bro, and stuff, but can you please turn your mic down a bit?
Oh, yeah, everyone says my mic's so loud. 1 second, sorry, guys. There we go. That should be a bit better.
That was a good one.
There you go. Thank you.
I thought Pice was going to come up with all sorts.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like
Christensen
now. Crap. That's what he was going to say.
I think you're popping my ears.
Well, now we have 5 people. That makes the whole doing two lineups even more difficult. But so let's get this done. If we do a back three, I think we all agree it's this 3 and these 2 wing backs. Or does anyone think it's going to be Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi at wing back if we play a back 3? Because obviously we could.
If it's Pulisic or Callum, we might as well just put the 5 goals in ourselves because that's not going to work against Sterling or against who else? Foden, that will probably be over there. Yeah,
but our wing back
Sterling
doesn't really directly play against their wing. Exactly. Our wing back is more up against their full back. Like,
Rudiger's
I
still
it's
got
gonna be
so
even
much
worse.
work cutting that left hand
Cancelo,
side.
isn't it? It's Cancelo.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like what I'm just quickly, because obviously I back Rudiger, so I think Rudiger will be fine on the other side. But Rudiger, his outstanding performances for the majority of the last 12 months have been in this position, not all of a sudden on the complete other side of the pitch.
Yeah.
I back him enough that he will be good there, but any player shifting position is going to be not equally as good as on the other side. So that might be my only small argument for why we should just go Rudiger, Thiago, Aspi, and play one of the other guys wing back, just to keep at least a back three as we always have it. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I do. I just don't think he's going to do that. I think he's never. Rudiger's not once played in that position, and I don't think he's going to do that in
He
a
played
City
it last
game.
game. Against Spurs,
Not as a
the
right,
second half.
not as a right centre back in a free.
Yeah.
Did
Because
he?
it was Thiago Silva, Sarr, and then
when
he
he
was
came
on
on.
the right. Yep.
When we made subs, not
Oh.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't even notice that, to be honest. But
When we made the subs, because obviously Sarr stayed on the pitch, right?
Mm.
And he brought Thiago on for Christensen, and he brought Alonso on for Werner. We then played quite literally this, but with Aspi instead of Joe here. Like that was literally our back three then for the last 20 minutes of the last game.
I'd have played Pulisic right wing back and just played Aspi, Silva, and Rudiger. I'd like to see Sarr, but I think Sarr may be in the back four. If it's a back four, then I think Sarr will play left back. But I know we're doing that later. But,
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. I mean, Lewis, if it's a back three with wing backs, do you think it's that back three plus wing backs, or do you think it's going to be Aspi at centre back and one of Callum or Pulisic?
Blake, he's got the vid. Forget. Yeah, you know what? That back three runs. Yeah, we'll go with that. Malang Sarr's been in very good form over the last few games and build his confidence as well. It could be the right match for him. I would go for Azpilicueta because he does seem to turn up in the big games, but this season hasn't been the best for him, so I'm not too sure. But it'd either be
in the team regardless, but just the right wing.
Oh yeah, wing back. Forgot. Yeah, you know what? Then our hands are tied. It has to be that back three then.
Yeah, unless you play Callum or Pulisic, but you're probably not a fan of that.
Yeah, but it's Pulisic, I don't mind, but it's just you shoehorn him anywhere and you just hope. It might be Pulisic at right wing back. It might be, but between him and Alonso, I just think like we're screwed on the transition in that case. But we move.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I do agree. Pice, just quickly, if it is a back three, do you think it's this, or do you think it's one of Callum Pulley at wing back?
I think it'll be Callum actually if it's this, because I think Tuchel was. Yeah. I don't think it'll be Pulisic. I think Callum's better defensively, so I think he'll play Callum there, and someone else in the front three on the left hand side, either Werner because he has an obsession with him, or Pulisic. And then I think obviously Sarr won't play in this. I think he'll play Rudiger on the left. There's no way he plays Rudiger on the right. I don't think, for me. I can't see that from a starting game, especially against Man City. Yeah, I can't see that. But yeah, the rest looks all right.
You mean, yeah. I see it. Both make sense. I don't know what I'm gonna pay. I leave it at this, but I don't know, because we had three that agree with this now. Midfield 2, just quickly before we get into the Lukaku Havertz conversation up top. Jem already mentioned Kante Kovacic. Pice for you, Jorginho in there, or is it Kante Kovacic?
So this is difficult because I have a feeling if we play Kante Kovacic, it might be a bit too chaotic in terms of, like, I don't know if we'll necessarily have the control we need in certain moments in the game. But then again, if we play Jorginho, then I think it could go over two ways. We could either play brilliantly, or because Jorginho Kante was the pivot in all of our big Champions League games. But it could either go another way where City just overrun Jorginho, getting behind transitions. It's very... I don't know what I'm going to do here. I can't lie.
I to be honest, I don't know either. I'm happy to go with the other guys first if you can't really.
I had down Kante and Kovacic, but
yeah,
I'm still kind of reserved on Kovacic because obviously I love him, but I just don't. I don't know, man. I feel like maybe Jorginho is just gonna just play so much better. Like I don't know. Maybe he's better for the game. I'm not sure, but there's, as I've said, there's two sides to that. So there's not like a clear-cut option in my opinion. Like it's weird. It's good, like it might be one of those ones where we go in with a Kante Kovacic and we get to half time, we're like, shit, we need control, we need Jorginho on. Like that's happened loads of times. Or it could be, we play Jorginho and we're like, oh my god, he's absolutely terrible. Like we're getting absolutely destroyed. He's getting overrun. Let's get Kovacic on. So I don't know what to do. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll give you an explanation now for what I think we should do, depending on who we play in the back five. If we play this back five that I have on screen now with Aspie at right wing back, I think it needs to be Kova and Kante to give us extra legs, and we can be a bit aggressive because we have the slightly more defensive back five. If we play like you suggested, Pies, in terms of Aspie at centre back and then Callum or Pulisic, in your case, Callum at right wing back, because that gives us a more attacking right wing back. Because of that reason, then I would play Jorginho and Kante just so we're not as crazy at leaving our position in midfield. So we have a bit more structure. But if we have the Aspie back five, with Aspie at wing back, then we have a bit more structure or a bit more defensive shape just due to who plays. So then we can do the cover Kante. But if it's and essentially a winger at right wing back, then I think we need Jorginho to keep a bit of control. That's my logic about who we should pick depending on who plays in defense. Do you see what I mean, Pies?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I do see that. Yeah.
Fair. Let me go to you, Clutch. For you, Kova, Kante, Georgie, Kante, something crazy in Kova. I don't think anyone picks Kovacic, Jorginho against Man City. I think we're all very aware that Kante needs to start.
Yeah, I think Kante is the one player that has to start out of everyone, I think. I'd probably go Kante and Kovacic for the reasons you explained. Plus, Kovacic is going to be able to dribble out of that midfield, and that's going to be one of the bigger problems that we're going to have is the Silva, Rodri, and De Bruyne midfield, and we're going to need Kova to be able to dribble out of that. So I'd probably go that.
Does Silva still play midfield now that Mahrez is at AFCON?
Depends. I mean, the last couple of games, they've shifted around so many times. It's either Silva who plays over there where Mahrez is, or Sterling plays over there. It just depends. I don't know if Grealish is available or not, but he hasn't been playing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Foden's doubtful, I think I saw, so I don't know. Just depends. I mean, you literally, Man City changes that midfield three and the front three. They're all interchangeable, so it just depends. For me, I'd probably pick Kovacic because he's going to be able to do it regardless of who's in the midfield. Fair.
Jem, you already said Kova Kante, like I said earlier, but explanation for that maybe?
Energy, press, Kova being able to break out, Kante being able to get forward and get backwards. I think if we're going to beat this Man City team, we have to win the midfield battle. And when you're up against Rodri, De Bruyne, maybe Silva or Foden, whoever it is that will play in that midfield with them, you need players that are going to have the energy to just hunt the ball down. With Jorginho, I think he's good at holding his position, but I just think we not only do we play slow with the ball, but I just think we're slower to shut the ball down. And I just think with energy of Kova and Kante, it will help, especially in this game.
But Jem, can I just make a point to that? Like Jorginho played against the most attacking midfield City team that I've seen in the Champions League final. They didn't play a DM, and him and Kante were amazing. So. Maybe Jorginho does make more sense thinking about it. Because if they're going to play a DM, right? It will only be two attack-minded centre mids.
Yeah, but I want a midfield that can break past their DM. And if it's Rodri sitting there, look, I think if Kante and Kovacic play, I think that the forward line will benefit more from it as well. I just think being able to move out with the ball, take a player and play that pass, I think it would work better. With Jorginho, I don't really see him picking the ball up and looking forward and trying to play the balls quick. And I want us to be quick in the transition. I just don't want us to be slow. When we get the ball, I want us to go. So Kovacic will do that. Kante will do that if he's got it. Plus, they will hunt the ball down as well. I'm not saying Jorginho is useless. I'm just saying that in this game, I just prefer people that are going to give us a ton of energy to be able to do both.
Something, I'll go to Lewis with asking him who he wants in midfield in just a second. Something that I think Clutch brought up at the very beginning of the stream. Obviously, Man City were not in the League Cup semi-final. Even though they played a pretty strong team against Swindon, was it? In the FA Cup, it wasn't so some of their players have essentially had 2 weeks off. Now, you could say that's an advantage because we literally played Wednesday night. But at the same time, with the best example being Mason Mount, every time he's rested, he plays bad the next game. There is also a thing of the more rhythm you have and just playing, the sharper you are at the blocks. Obviously, the longer the game goes on, the more you probably favor City because they'll probably be a bit more rested than our team, especially having only 3 subs in the Prem. But I think this could also work in our favor. And look at the Arsenal City game. It's not that City won it at the very end. Arsenal had them on the ropes in the first half by pressing them like crazy. And if we want to press like crazy, we need cover and not Jorginho. But the problem is that Jorginho is the only guy in our team on the pitch, aside from Thiago, but he's too far back. Jorginho is the only guy that understands football enough to know when to press. He's like, if you've watched it, he's the guy that shouts for the press every time. Like if you now it's more difficult when we have fans in the stadiums again. But obviously when there was no crowds in the stadiums, you could hear on TV Jorginho shout for the press every time, and then everybody moved. Like it was literally like a signal, and then everybody goes. And maybe our timing of the press is not as good without Jorginho. So that's what makes me struggle about it. And I guess, hey, we won the Champions League bloody final with Jorginho and Kante midfield against City. So I guess that is one counter argument. But Lewis, for you, if it is this formation, midfield 2, would it be Kova and Kante or would it be Jorginho and Kante? Not sure if he's here. Anyway, he'll say something.
I had my mic off. My bad.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, good.
So Jorginho and for me, I don't really mind if it's Jorginho and Kovacic. You retain possession better. If it's Jorginho and Kante, you utilize Kante's excellent breakup play, and he's the best in the world at that. And with City very likely to dominate possession, I'd probably lean more towards Jorginho and Kante in this, in spite of Kovacic's form too. Someone's going to be disappointed regardless. But for me, I think Jorginho and Kante is the perfect midfield 2 for this sort of game. So that's the 2 I'd go for.
Fair enough. And then about the front 3, let's try and get this load up quickly. Now, the problem we have is, I mean, obviously for Pies now, we currently have Aspie and this at right wing back, so we do have the option of both Callum and Pulley in the front 3. Now, Mount didn't have a good last game, but like I said, when he's rested, he doesn't have, a good game usually. When he wasn't rested last game, so you would expect him to have a better game. But honestly, I don't know. The only thing I do know, I think against City, this needs to be Havertz. If it's a front 1, a lone striker. Like if it's the front 2, Lukaku, it's a different discussion. We'll get to that in a second. But I think we just talked so much about press. If we want to beat City by pressing them, Lukaku cannot start as a lone striker, in my opinion. Obviously, you can all agree or disagree, but Jem, do you agree essentially?
In this 3-4-3, we need movement, and I don't know if Lukaku's going to do that. You need to press, like you said. You need to hunt the ball down. You need to do a bit of everything. You need to link up play, make runs into spaces, and I think Havertz, even though he's not the better goal scorer, I think we look better when he's playing in the false 9, making them runs. But it is as important to who plays behind him though, because I wouldn't play someone like Ziyech, for example, in this game. Cho, I think Cho
would not.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't play him. You want my honest opinion? I would like to see a 3 of Havertz, Werner, and Lukaku. And the reason I say that is because with Werner and Havertz, they just bring a ton of movement. And I know Werner's not the greatest of finishers. I get that. But in terms of movement and running into space, I think them 2 would do that massively. But at the same time, I think Mason Mount will probably, if we're talking about what Thomas Tuchel will do, I think it could be Havertz, Mount, and maybe either Pulisic or Cho.
This is what I don't know. I honestly, it could be any of Werner, Joe, Pulley. I think it could be any of those 3, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Pulisic and Havertz both had full rest, so that helps.
They did.
Well,
they did.
Cho
I stick with you, Clutch.
Cho and Lukaku had 90 minutes both. So I don't know if Cho will play because he had 90 minutes. Lukaku might, just because we seem to wanting to do that. But if Lukaku plays, I think it'll be a front 2 of Lukaku and Werner. I think Werner's probably going to guaranteedly start. I mean, Pai said it earlier. He has this weird obsession with Werner, and
I can't see, because what you just explained there is essentially the same formation we played against City when they battered us at the bridge. We're definitely not doing that again.
No, he's not doing that.
Yeah. But
The way I'm not sure if you saw the press conference, but if you saw it, the way he
Yeah, I
spoke
know.
about it, there's no way he does that
we're
again.
not going
Does
to play
that
midfield 3. We're not going to play midfield 3.
Does that defeat the whole object of doing the 4-2-2-2 then, Laurenz?
Why?
Because you're going to ask Lukaku to probably play with Werner, for example, and you said that he ain't going to want to play
playing with Kai.
up front.
I mean, personally, I don't want to do the 4-3-2. If we are going to do a back 4, then I'd do a different formation. But that doesn't matter because that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Again, it's just the same. Like, I'm not saying the 4-2-3-1 is worse than the 4-2-2, but that's the only fullback formation we've used. Let's not throw another formation in there, which we have no idea how good the players are going to be in it, if that makes sense. But if it was for you in this formation, Clutch, which front three would it be?
Mount, Havertz, and Werner.
You would start Werner. Fair enough.
Werner's, I mean, given his record, it's probably what I would do. But I mean, I would like somebody up in the front 3, like a Cho or a Pulisic, to do the dribbling work. But neither of them have been particularly great at that over recent weeks. So, yeah, Werner, Havertz, Mount.
Fair. Lewis, what about you? What's your front three in this formation?
Dare I say the same front three from the Champions League final? I'm not too sure. I think Havertz definitely has to play in the middle. Can't be asked with Lukaku's touch in this sort of game. Mount, I think, probably gets in regardless.
Even if
and then the front three, like Werner's got the movement and everything, but his finishing is just going to piss me off. So I don't know if I'm going to want him there. Maybe Pulisic. Because Cho, I would want to see play, but I don't think his recent form has been good enough to justify it. Either one of Pulisic and Werner, but I'd probably go Pulisic.
Fair. It's a tough one. I mean, Pice, I'll go to you again in this formation. Now that you have Callum and Pully potentially available because we put Aspie at right wing back, what will be your front three, Pice?
I do think Werner makes sense for this game. You know, I always said, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I always said if you play Man City or Liverpool, I think it makes sense for Werner to start. Just because they do both play high lines, there's lots of spaces, especially with the direct passes that Rudiger likes to make from long. I think Werner can be good for that on the left-hand side. So I will start him there because I think for this type of game, he gets in. On the right-hand side, I don't think Mount deserves to play based on recent form. I don't think... I think there's a lot of protection from Chelsea fans where we just put Mount in the starting 11, but I don't think he deserves to play. I think Ziyech deserves to play on the right-hand side. And I think we're going to need someone who's going to be able to open up the spaces in this game. And also, he's very, very good at pressing. And if he has the same sort of intensity that he does, I think he deserves to play on the right-hand side. And also, he scored against Man City last time we won at the Etihad, so there's that as well. The only one who likes to shoot, and actually do stuff in the front three. And up top in this is going to be Havertz, because Havertz is going to be vital for the pressing aspect and the off-the-ball movement, dropping deep. And yeah, I think him and Werner have that connection. But let's just make it clear, I would be absolutely shocked if he dropped Lukaku in this game. Absolutely shocked. You don't buy it.
To be honest, I don't think he drops either.
No. See, I wouldn't be surprised because he's done that before for Mount. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think he's an academy boy. Lukaku's different kettle of fish. I think stories will be made if Lukaku is dropped for this big game because let's have it right. If you buy £100 million striker and he's not played in games against Liverpool and Manchester City, what was the point in the first place?
Part 4 interview dropping.
Huh?
Part 4 interview dropping.
Yeah, I think it will cause more problems, honestly. I don't think... I'm not saying Lukaku will do anything, but what the media's like. They'll be like, Lukaku dropped for massive game. Does Tuchel trust him, really? You know what I mean? And no one can say to me they won't do that, because that's what it will be about. It will be a massive headline. Like what's the point in signing £100 million striker if he doesn't play in your biggest games? You know, and Tuchel can say it's tactical or this suits better. It doesn't matter about that. That doesn't cut with the media and stuff like that. You know, and Lukaku probably won't like it either. But he won't do anything.
I don't think he really gives two Fs about what the media think. No, do you? Like, I just think when you think about his recent,
I think the club will care as well, bro. I think the club want to see a return on their investment. And if he's bought in for, like Tuchel said, for scoring goals and the biggest games, then he doesn't play in these games, and there's no point.
I hear that, but if we go and win this game without him, they're not going to be talking about Lukaku. It's just going to be, Tuchel made a masterclass in his formation and his lineup and blah 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 blah. Where it becomes an issue, and I agree with you, is if he doesn't play him and we lose like 2-3-0. And then, do you know what I mean? Then it'd be like, oh, he dropped Lukaku. He could have played him. He saw them chances for Werner in the game. If you had Lukaku on the pitch, he would have scored that.
Do you know how many people were complaining about Liverpool him not playing at Liverpool at all? I've seen a whole bunch of people really pissed off. They're like, "Oh yeah, you guys could have won if you played Lukaku." It's like, well, we played good without him. So I mean, it is just that media thing. So I do agree, like with Pius, like if we don't play him, and
don't you guys agree with me though? Like, why are we buying £100 million striker if we're not playing him in these sorts of games? Like, is that a fail? Is he a flop if he doesn't start in this game?
I agree, but also there's you have to be able to change on like whether they're good in form or not. Like he has to realize he's not in form. So,
but Clutch, he's still Lukaku. Like it's still, I understand, but it's still, he's still the club's highest ever, paid player. So in terms of obviously his fee, so like I just, whether he has one broken leg, I still think. You kind of have, it's like
I agree with your overall point, but I think as far as like as a manager goes, I think you can't be worried about that. Yes, he's 100 million. Havertz is right behind him though. At the same time, are you really gonna put Havertz on the bench for 70 million? I mean, because essentially, like Jester said, he said Werner, Havertz, and Lukaku. That's never gonna happen. That's all three of your strikers. And if one or two of them get hurt, then we're just back to the same old Pulisic's going to be playing false nine again. We can't do that. So I don't think all three of them will play.
I don't know.
Two.
For me, I just see if Lukaku, and there's plenty of other games left, and competitions, but I just see, if he hasn't played in games against Liverpool and Man City in the league, I didn't want Lukaku to start playing against the smaller teams. I didn't think of Lukaku as the type of guy in the summer where, oh yeah, he's going to be good against the smaller teams, but don't worry, guys, let's remember that Havertz will play against the bigger teams. That's not my thinking. I don't think that's the club's thinking either. Like it's not. That's not how they would have viewed things. Lukaku was going to come in to be the guy who's going to start in every game when he was fit. That's why you pay so much for him.
I agree.
He's got to play. He's got to play like the £100 million, like this comment.
No, I agree. I
get what you're saying. It's Lukaku. He needs to play. He's 100 million, but
what are you saying, bro?
Bro, you're mute yourself. Christensen lover, mute yourself.
Jim, I 100% agree with you in the sense of Lukaku's not played great recently. Like he's been pretty poor, but like. You just have to play him, because otherwise, like, why did we sign him? You buy him for these occasions, whether he's in form or not. Like it's still Lukaku. If there's a chance that drops to someone, sorry Havertz, but I don't want it to be you. I want it to be Lukaku still.
Right. What's more important, the team winning or Lukaku playing? Right. What I'm saying is not say that we can't win with Lukaku not in the team, but I'm just saying if you had the choice of playing what has worked without, we've beaten Man City 3 times with Havertz.
Jim, I would start Havertz in this formation. I'm starting Havertz, but he won't start over Lukaku. It will be Lukaku alone up front.
Hold on. I'm going to make a point that somebody Laurenz made the other day. Ever since that interview came out, we seem to be doing exactly what Lukaku was complaining that we weren't doing. So we were playing 2 at the top. So to say that ever since then Lukaku's got what he's wanted. After complaining publicly, I think
still being shit, by the way.
Exactly.
No, but
I mean,
you see,
I agree that we would probably play him because of that reason. He didn't get dropped he only got dropped one game, and after that, he's played ever since then.
Yeah,
So
but
I
I'm not
agree.
gonna lie. If I was £100 million signing, and I'm not saying like he was right to do what he did, and I know he was injured, but you would. I just keep going back to the front thing of like, what did they tell him in the summer when we was, to try and get him out of Inter, because you know how hard it was to get him out of there. Like he didn't want to leave. Like they must have given him some mad fantasy plan of, you're going to be playing every game. You are the most important player. Like Tuchel will. I don't know whether Tuchel told him he'll play in the front two. That's what Lukaku was moaning about. He seems to think that he wasn't supposed to play in the one.
You're not wrong with saying that, Pice, but even no matter how much he backs himself, no matter how much he was promised in the summer, if he doesn't play as well as he promised us, then that's completely irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying. And if he played well pretty much every time with a few, exceptions, then I would 1,000,000% agree with you. And then, the things that you promised him, you should to some extent stick to. But when he's the guy not performing, why should we stick to what we promised him? Because he's not giving us what he promised us when we signed him for 100 million either.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree, but I can tell you now, Lukaku is not going to like it if he's benched in this sort of game.
That's partly why I don't want to start.
I didn't like his media antics, so it is what it is, isn't it? We move. But...
I know, but I don't want there to be more internal problems, Jem. I just don't.
I know.
I get that too. I get that too. I will make one last call here before we move on to the other formation. For the similar reasons as what Pice in particular has talked about, Timo Werner playing against these teams that play with a high line and we use his pace to get up top. Why I have the small problem I have with Ziyech in that role, even though his pressing will be super useful then. In a way, it's a similar problem with Mesa, but not quite like that. Remember the game where we switched it all of a sudden and put Callum on the right just to use his pace and then to cross it. If we actually have space to attack in behind, then Callum on the right makes all the sense in the world, by the way. No matter whether it's then on the left, Werner or Pulisic, whether it's in the middle, Havertz or Lukaku, doesn't really matter. Him there, using his pace and then cross it, is probably the easiest way to exploit the high line for us, in my opinion. That's probably our best solution to it. I'm not saying that's what we're going to do. I'm not saying it will work. I'm just saying it's the most likely to work, if that's how we want to do it. But I'm not sure if Callum's press is good enough compared to Mount and Ziyech to play there instead of one of them. Maybe we should do like that and do a bit of a crazy one. And for the first time in God knows how long, play Mount over on that side.
This is difficult for me because this is not even my formation that I play. But
yeah,
I think with me putting Werner on the left, I've just thought about it more. Like that might make us naturally more defensive and lead to counter attacks, because I feel like we're going to need
more.
Have
the ball as much.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to need we're going to need players that ball to feet, that want the ball. And I'm thinking maybe like Pulisic on the left and like Ziyech on the right would be better, because they're both going to drop deep.
Do you not feel like we're going to play on the break though?
No, I don't. I think we're going to go at them, honestly. I really do.
I do, but at the same
that's
time,
kind of what we tried to do and ended up getting stuck into a defensive.
Well, that's just what I say. When we were out of position, I just feel that if you have a Werner and say an Havertz on the pitch, and we win the ball back, the automatic thinking when you think about how City and Liverpool play with their high lines is going to be how quick can we get behind that defence and into that space, and that's what's worked so much. And this is, remember, Diaz struggles against Werner. You know that. Diaz does not like playing against Werner.
There's a quick explanation actually why that could work, but the reason what decides whether that works is where we win the ball back. Where on the pitch do we win the ball back? If we win it at the edge of our box, it's pointless whether it's Werner up top or not, because the likelihood of our over-the-top balls being so accurate that Werner's just through and scores, yeah, it can work, but we can't bank on that. That's just then luck if that works out, right? But the argument that Pice made is if we are better at keeping possession, we are less likely to lose the ball or to be so deep. And that means whenever we win the ball back, we are already higher and then can make more with it. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you. That's why I would have one dribbler, one person like Werner, and then Havertz up front with me. I'll just have Werner. I'd actually like to have Werner, Pulisic, and Havertz. That's what I would want personally. Because you got Pulisic who can come deep, pick the ball up and dribble forward. Werner who can make runs off the left into space, and Havertz just.
Gem, I think with Pulisic, I think he's been terrible in his dribbling lately. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Fortunately, I agree.
But
he does have the capabilities.
Great,
but...
Do you think Cho's been great? Like, I think he's been good in parts. But
he's really good in tight. I think he's better with well, not better. I just think on form, he's like if he receives the ball deep, I think he's going to be more likely to keep it than Pulisic lately.
You know what,
I think Pulisic will lose the ball.
In the bigger games, Christian Pulisic is the better player because for me, he scored against Liverpool. I didn't think he had the greatest of game against Liverpool, but he grew into it, and he got that great goal. I think out of all of the forwards, barring obviously Lukaku, who's a goal scorer, out of all of them, who are you more comfortable in seeing in front of goal and putting it in the back of the net? For me, Pulisic is more of a better finisher than Cho.
Yeah, but then I could counter argue that.
I think he's a better finisher, but I don't think there's a lot between the pair.
He's more direct. That's what I'm saying. I think he's more direct.
Yeah, but I think
I don't think he's more direct. I think they're about equal. I think they both go at the defender a lot, to be honest with you.
No, but I don't think Cho runs past his player a lot. I think
Cho likes to switch the play a little bit more as well than Pulisic.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like he can do it, but I feel like Pulisic's more direct. Like he will dribble. Look, Cho dribbles past people, but I think Pulisic will do it more in a game than what Cho would. I think Cho's more happy to look like he's going to do it and do a 1-2 rather. No,
because for me, it's like Pulisic. I think it is more likely to try it, but he doesn't have the strength to take defenders on and body them off the ball or anything like that, or be able to hold himself up. Cho can do it, but I feel like the experience just isn't there as much. If that makes sense. Then he ends up falling into the same patterns of play more consistently. Whereas Pulisic, he can cut inside, he can go outside, and he's a lot more unpredictable in that remark. That's why he was our most vital winger in 1920, because everyone else was predictable. Whereas Pulisic,
it's kind of like with Havertz and Lukaku as well. If you want someone that's going to probably have a better all-round game, it will be Havertz. But if there's someone I want in a moment, it will be Lukaku. It's Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic. If I want someone who's going to have a better all-round game and be more involved, I think lately it's Hudson-Odoi because he switches play. He does 1-2s. He dribbles. He goes to the byline and crosses. Like he's so involved. He constantly demands the ball lately. Whereas if there's a moment I want in front of goal, it's Pulisic. It's like what do you want? Where's the balance?
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's up to Tuchel to find that balance. So it's hard. Like different players give you different things, and it's just this is why we're not managers because we don't have to make the decision.
So when we have the moments, you want to put it in the back of the net, right? That's why I would say Pulisic. Just when you get into the moments, and we struggle with moments, don't we? Let's be serious. How many times we put it in the back of the net?
But then, do you want to be Jem? Like, do you want to have a moments game tomorrow, or do you want to try and be more in control?
I want us to dominate the game, but we're not going to do that against Man City.
No.
I want us to win the game, and more likely to win the game is through moments.
Moments, yeah, I agree. I think so as well. It'd be nice to completely outplay Man City and dominate them and control it by 60% to their 40%. But
I don't think. No, that's not going to happen. I don't think that will be the case. I just don't want to. I don't want another game where we have, say, Werner and Pulisic, and we're just trying to lump it up long and hope we get a moment in front of goal. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you.
I don't see Werner as the type to keep possession when we have it. It's going to be very important. This is why I think we'll play a 4 at the back because there's more options in attack. There's more. I just think there's different. You can play down either side. I just think it might work better, and I think we'll go at them. I think the two sort of wide cams and the two strikers, they'll press very high and very wide, and I think we'll try and suck them in because City don't like it when teams press them. They don't. They're very good at playing out, but they just don't like it in general. They'd much rather have an option of a game with 80% possession or 70% possession. They loved what we did at Stamford Bridge. Complete control. We never once pressed them in that game.
Take it to them, yeah. I agree.
It's risky and it will be probably bad to watch. Maybe they'll smash us, but at least from what I was thinking with Tuchel is he's going to probably take that risk because I don't. It's more of a contest, I think, if we take it to them. It's like Liverpool, bro. Like, look what we did with Liverpool.
If we play the right players, as shown in Champions League final, and when we beat them 3 times in a row, we can press like crazy in our 3-back system. We just need the right players up front.
Yeah, but I think James and
press.
Chilwell though. I think James and Chilwell are so vital for our 3 at the back. That's why I don't like. I don't like this at the moment where you have this current options of Alonso and Aspi or playing a winger at right wing back. It's not a thing. I'd rather have something like this where I'm glad Tuchel's found this because it's given someone else different to look at tactically. Like I'd rather have this where like I can already tell you already like Ziyech on the right cam. What he did against Spurs, kind of.
Let me ask you one thing before that, Pice, because we need to kind of decide on something first, right? Because whoever fills this role, we need to decide who, like, because we're still in defense going to shift to a 3, right? No, but wait, we're going to shift to a 3 in defense. So then we're going to have to make a decision if we want this player to be the fake right wing back, or if we want this player to be the fake left wing back. Because first leg against Spurs, Ziyech was the fake right wing back on this side, but second leg against Spurs, it was Callum from this side, and Aspi was playing right wing back. Well, in the first leg, it was Alonso that played left wing back, and that makes then a decision. Because think about it, Alonso will start. There's no chance Alonso doesn't start 3 games in a row in the current injury situation. That means Alonso will start, and Alonso doesn't start.
I disagree. I don't think he'll start.
There's no. I mean, hey. Fair enough. It's your lineup.
What makes you feel so confident that he'll start? That's what I don't understand.
There's no way he doesn't start Alonso for 3 games in a row. Bro, he started him over Chilwell at the start of the season.
True.
And he's not even, Alonso hasn't even been that bad recently, in all honesty.
I think Sar's given him a bit of a
yeah, I do too. I think Sar's been a lot better. I think he's been better defensively and he's been better on the ball as well. I don't see a reason why Sar's dropped. In fact, I'll be quite
no. Of course. But that's what I'm saying. That's why we need to make a decision, because if this is Alonso, obviously we shifted like this, right? And then Alonso is a wing back. But if this is Sar, then we shifted like this, and Aspi is the wing back. We shift that over, that over, and Sar becomes the centre back. That's the big difference in whether this is Alonso or Sar. So it makes a big difference.
That's what I have in my lineup, and I have Ziyech being like you said.
But mate, you can't have Sar and Ziyech. That doesn't work. How would that work?
No. So you'd have Sar off the ball in left centre back.
Yeah.
You'd have Rudiger
on the right, I presume.
Wait, can anyone hear me? I'm lagging a bit.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I would have Sar on the left. I'd probably have Silva, Rudiger. Yeah, let me think.
That's what I'm saying. If you want Sar, you can't play Ziyech, or you can't have Ziyech do what you wanted him to do anyway. You can still play him there, obviously, but
it's interesting because I think I think we're going to get attacked badly down the right hand side with Sterling. That's my problem.
Yeah, and that makes me not want to make Ziyech the wingback.
I think lately Sterling has been playing more on the right side with Jesus playing on the left. I think.
Yeah, well, to be honest, Clutch. The thing is, Jesus played loads on the right. Sterling played loads on the left. Now, I don't have a clue what Pep's going to do tomorrow. I'm just going off, what they normally do, and Sterling's usually on the left, so I'm going to go with that. But I don't have a clue what they're going to do. You can throw anything out there, can't you?
What makes you think that the 2 8s that are playing the 8-year-olds are going to be running back to defend and actually cover Sar and Aspi? Because every time I've watched this 4-2-2-2, I've not seen. I've seen it in glimpses where Ziyech will run back, and I think of the Spurs game at home.
Callum
runs back and he covers, yeah. But then majority of the time, they found themselves just sort of further up the pitch. They weren't really tracking back as much as we thought they would. If that makes sense.
But that City will be different because City play less on transition. So against City, we should have the time to get into position. While against teams that counter us, that's obviously more like. You can't, like, no human runs faster than a human can pass the ball. Do you know what I mean? So if they move up the pitch with a long ball, there's no chance they can be there in time. But if they build their way through it, then they can be back in time.
I wish I could share a screenshot of what I have on my lineup because it's maybe I'll just explain it to you. So
You can.
Can't you take a
share
screenshot
if
and
you
then
want.
just send it to Laurenz like through Twitter or something?
Yeah, but then I have to come off the stream because I'm on my phone, so it's quite annoying.
Okay.
Renz, I've got to shoot, but just quickly, I'll just tell you quickly what I was going to do. I agree
Go
with
on,
this back
do that.
four. Agree with this back four. I'd still play Kante Kovacic. For me, I'm just sticking to that. And then I would have, even though I think Mason Mount shouldn't play, I think he would in this system. So I'd play Mount on the right, and then I'd play Cho on the left, and then I would play Havertz and Lukaku. That's what I would do.
Jem, appreciate you for being here. Everybody, check out his channel. Link to it is down in the description. And I'll talk to you, mate.
See you, bro.
Guys. Man, take this off.
Lawrence, I'm gonna cut off and send you this quickly, and then I'll come back on. Okay?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
So in that case, then, Clutch. I mean, I've painted this now. What's your back four? Because do you understand what I meant when I was talking to Pice? Where like we need to decide which side of the two of the tens needs to come back to wing back, because that makes the decision of whether it's Sarr or Alonso.
No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, because if it's Alonso, he's the wing back essentially in transition, and Aspie cuts back, and say in this formation, Mount would end up being the right wing back. I don't think Cho's going to start because he played 90 minutes, so I don't think he's going to start because it's such a short time period. Which is why it's so hard to pick this at the moment, because I don't think if it were this, I think you would have. I think it'd be Ziyech on the right and Mount on the left if you were to do it in this formation. I mean, everybody else I'd probably agree with. So you wouldn't be able to play Sarr. You would have to play Alonso.
Ziyech on the left.
Ziyech on the right hand side, and he like it would be pretty much like they did in the first Spurs game. So
you don't think it's going to be Callum on the left or what?
I don't think Callum's going to play. I don't think he's going to start at least. I mean, he just played 90 minutes again in midweek.
Yeah, sure, but so did Aspie and Rudiger and Sarr.
That's why I think it would probably. Rudiger, I don't think that would be a problem. Aspie is the worry I have. That's why I was confused why he played 90.
Callum's 21. He can play 90 minutes. Like, obviously sub him off during the game today, but he can play an hour if he needs to. I'm not saying you should want to start him. I'm just saying physically shouldn't be. I don't think needs to be the reason why he can't.
Yeah, probably. But that's a hard decision.
Would you
I
put
honestly
Pulisic in, or would you put Mason over on that side? Or
I put Mason on the left. Pulisic is going to be better when you get higher up.
Now we can talk a little bit. Well, if it's Ziyech on this side and Mount here, then this needs to be Alonso, though. I
mean, if we are to play this formation, that's how it would go.
Yeah, but then it has to be Alonso because Mount isn't going to be left wing back.
Yep, that's. Yeah, I think Alonso starts. But yeah,
I also think that Alonso starts. Have you sent this already, Pies? Oh, you sent it on Twitter. On
WhatsApp. On WhatsApp.
Okay, then I need to quickly save it before I can share it. But yeah, no. Well, I quickly before we discuss the rest. So for me, I think if we play that, I don't think we will, and I don't think we should play this. By the way, but if it will, for me, Alonso is clear to start. Like, there's no chance he doesn't start. But at the same time, I also was very confident that he would start against Spurs, and he didn't. So what do I know? But Mount at right, centre attacking mid. We've tried that twice now. We're shocking in both. Let's not do that again, please, can we? Actually, we only tried it once because obviously it was Ziyech playing the other side. But on the left, I think he might have some sort of use here because he can still do his pressing, but he can actually be useful and not be caught in this kind of no man's land area where he can't really be an attacker and he can't really be a midfielder. It's just kind of, and he can't really be a winger either. It's just in this weird position where Mount's attributes don't, in my opinion, work perfectly. Well, Ziyech's work perfectly. But Mount doesn't interpret it the way a Callum or a Pulisic would, where he essentially just plays like a winger. That Mount doesn't do that. So on the left, I think Mount could be more useful because then he can kind of do what Ziyech does on the other side. But do we want that on both sides, especially when our fullbacks are Alonso and Aspie, or Alonso and Ziyech, if you want to, think he comes back? The problem is we've only seen Ziyech play this half wing-back role once, and it was against a really, really, really bad Tottenham. So I'm not sure if he has the intensity to press, but I'm not sure if he has the legs and the discipline to defend. Because at least Callum and Pulisic have played this a few times now. Ziyech would be the first time playing this against a good team, which is what would worry me, if that makes sense. But it's a tough one for me. Lewis, if I come back to you, are you here? Just tell me
Yeah.
here. There you are. If we did play this system, right, this 4-2-2, how would you play? What would be your back four? How would you set it up?
Sarr left back, and still go Jorginho, Kante. And other than that, I'd probably be happy with the lineup the way it is. Yeah, you know what? I'd be perfectly fine with it the way it is.
But I don't think it works. If you put Sarr here, I don't think you can play Ziyech there. Or you can't play, because if it's Sarr here, obviously he will not be left wing back. He will be left centre back, and then we will transition it like this, right? So then,
First time Mount left wing back. Let's go.
Whoever plays here needs to then do the left wing back job. But if you play Alonso over there, then Alonso can be the left wing back.
Then my only change would be Jorginho for Kova. And other than that, I'd be fine with the lineup the way it is.
Could do that. We could definitely do that. Let me just quickly, I just downloaded the thing so I can share it in just a split second, Pice. Let me just get that going. I hope at least anyway when I get a photo like that. Because I wasn't gonna, if you send it on Twitter, I was just gonna share the Twitter DM. But on WhatsApp, I don't think I can do that. So let me just try if I can do this. I need to get this off the screen for a second and then see if I can share this preview window. There you go. No, not that one.
I mean, if you can't, I'll just send it on Twitter. But
there you are.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to read, but it's very compact off the ball, and that's the reason why I made it up. And I've put Kante on the left because obviously I want him covering Sarr and the wing back. One of the wing backs, because I think he's just going to be better down that side with Sarr, and Azpi's kind of got the more experience. So I think with this off the ball, it's very compact and tight, and I think it might work well.
But if Kante and Kova play together, they're always the other way around, or does that not matter really for you?
Well, I originally had Kova on the left, but I put Kante on the left because of Sarr and Pulisic / Hudson-Odoi. Usually they play on the right, but they have played on the left, so I think they just might need a bit more cover. But I think you can play either way, to be honest. I just think Kante is a bit better defensively.
I see what you mean, but in this lineup, mate, I wouldn't, because you know why Ziyech was so great against Spurs is because he could take up these half spaces. But that's because he was kind of the right wing back, so that's why he dropped deeper, right? But if Azpi is the right wing back, essentially behind him, then Ziyech will need automatically to be higher up, and then that's essentially him playing on the right of the 3-4-3, like essentially, right? And that's what we say. He doesn't usually tend to be that good at it because otherwise him and Azpi will be in each other's way.
You can also have, it's obviously not going to be that close. It's just the screen, but
I know.
It's like you can also have Mount on the right hand side dropping deep. Maybe he's a bit better than that. I just think, I liked the way that Ziyech came back. Yeah, instead of Ziyech. Like, if you look at it like that, then obviously Mount's dropping deep, isn't it, in that structure?
Yeah, I get that. Let me just see what I see here.
Okay, a sec.
There you go. It's a tough one for me to call, really. Like, I don't hate this either. I'm not quite sure if the Ziyech Azpi thing on this side works like that, but
it's open to change. The more the players are open to change, it's more of the shape, and the way some of the players are open to change. Kante, Kovacic, I think is probably best in this because you can have Kovacic dribbling out the tight spaces. Kante's better defensively. I wouldn't change that, but maybe you change Ziyech, or maybe you would change one of, the left. You wouldn't change Sarr because he's in the back three in this, but maybe you would change Hudson-Odoi or Pulisic. Maybe you play Mount on the left hand side. I don't know. It's a hard one, but I think we're going to need that compact structure. That's why I think we'll play a 4 because we can it's more attacking, but we can transition to a 3 off the ball or a 5. You know what I mean? I just don't see. I don't see him just playing through all game for some reason. I just don't, especially after his press conference. But we'll see. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I see also what you meant in a way with the press conference, but like I said already, I think that's more to do with not playing a midfield 3, like say a flat 3, because that's what we did obviously against City last time, and then we had that, and then just pretend that's a right centre back, right, and then we played a front 2. Do you know what I mean? And that was kind of the big issue, because we had a midfield 3 and a front 2, and they were so far away from each other that they had no connection whatsoever, and we never got the ball to them in any useful positions. We just played long balls to Werner and just hoped he could do anything. Lukaku had completely no idea what Werner was doing, was completely on the other end of the pitch, was expecting Werner to play like bloody Trent Alexander-Arnold style crosses, and just, yeah. So it's a tough one. Always done, Laurenz, check your DM. I did, but obviously, even if he does, so basically what Jester sent me is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been left out of the Gabon squad, obviously in the African Cup of Nations, to face Ghana with suspected heart issues. The Arsenal striker recently recovered from the Rona.
Are you guys going to have to shoot?
Even if you have heart issues, you can recover from it again.
Yeah, big up, guys. I'm going to have to take care.
Hey, take care, Lewis. I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Alphonso Davies just also had the same thing, so.
Who?
Alphonso Davies.
Alphonso Davies is currently suffering with the same thing, yeah. Which is a word which I don't know the English word for. I only know the German word for it, so I can't. I'm just struggling. But yeah, let me quickly get the 3 up again. See, the problem I have with the 2, and I know this is going to sound like my agenda again, and to some extent it is, but I don't think anyone works with Lukaku in the front 2 very well. For Lukaku, it's best, but I don't think Havertz, Werner, or anybody else is very good in this role currently. As in not very good, but as in the connection they have together, it doesn't work together with any of them yet. It might do one day, but as of right now, I don't think this is both left-footed, and this adds a third left-footed player. That's too many left-footed players, in my opinion. But then if you put Werner there, then you basically put all the technical capabilities on only Lukaku. And, sometimes the touch is there, sometimes it isn't. But just because he's so big, you can't expect him to do all of that. But he needs to, if Werner is the guy with him. So you need to put Havertz there again. But then Havertz, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think Havertz, I haven't seen him. But then again, he scored against Spurs and he was decent first half. Then he broke his finger. Obviously, I don't know, boys. I don't know. Obviously, I get fair enough, Pice. You think it's that, or gonna be that, or should be that, whatever you want to call it. It's City, man. I know you disagreed with us on that Spurs caused as many troubles as we thought, or at least as I thought, but to me they really did. And if we try that against Spurs, I'm just scared of another Sarri game. Do you know what I mean? That's honestly what I'm scared of. If we play a back 4. Because I just fear that City will be too quick for us to transition in time. The idea obviously works, but this whole shifting formations, depending on attack or defense, only works if the opponent isn't incredibly quick. And by quick, I don't mean having fast players. I mean just quick at moving the ball. And there's no team quicker at moving the ball than Manchester bloody City. So that's what worries me if we start with a 4 and plan to shift in defense. Because what if City don't give us the time to shift? And then we're just screwed because Thiago doesn't have a lot of pace. Aspi doesn't have a lot of pace. That all of those things worry me. If you just leave Thiago as a centre back and Saar and Rudiger to cover for him, or Rudiger and Aspi to cover for him, that works. And I'm not saying Thiago is a problem, not by any means, obviously not, because he sometimes covers for the other guys, but he has players around him and he knows they're always going to be there. If he plays in this shift system, he's like, are they going to be here or are they not? Because that to him probably makes a difference in how high of a line he can hold, I presume, but maybe I'm over analysing things but that we just haven't seen, because obviously when we played the back 4 so far, Thiago hasn't played yet, because when we subbed him on against Spurs, we shifted it again. So I don't know. I don't know.
I think another thing to consider is if you're going to have Kyle Walker on the right back, I would, at the beginning of Werner here, I would back him to beat Kyle Walker. These days, Werner looks slower, and I think Kyle Walker will beat him. on the pace side of it. So if you take away his pace, what's the point of Werner? But I don't think Tuchel will see it that way. So, and then you're probably gonna have Cancelo on the left hand side. So you're gonna have whoever the right wing back is gonna have to deal with him. So that's why I probably wouldn't go for Callum or Pulisic, because they're gonna have to close him down. Because if you start letting him pass in midfield, there's gonna be big trouble. So I mean that's something to consider.
It is, but at the same time, what for me is also to consider, and that kind of goes against me saying, "Oh, let's play this." At least this back five is Cancelo and Walker. Like they're both like. I mean, Walker is stupendously quick, and even Cancelo is quick. Even if he comes inside anyway, doesn't really use his pace that much. Against Alonso and Aspie, that's a big problem. Like if at least on one side we had a bit of pace, that might be useful. But if we have no pace on either side, it's a problem. But again, it's just I don't know. I'm honestly in a situation where I'm like, with the players we have available, I don't see how we win the game other than by getting lucky and by Tuchel having a masterclass of a tactical idea that I don't think of. So, that's why I'm like, again, I'm not the manager here being paid millions and millions. So I hope just he figures something out, because I'm honestly, whether it's the 4, whether it's the 3, do I really see us winning in either of those? No, if I'm being perfectly. Like Alonso and Aspie at wing back against City scares me. But I just explained why the back 4 scares me all the same. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Kenedy. For wingback or for striker, bro? I mean, we do. But do we? I mean, the guy's still jet lagged. Just came back from Brazil yesterday. So, anything either of you boys would like to add? Let me go with you first, Clutch.
Since this is such a different game than normal, I mean, it's like if you were to play like a full-strength Liverpool. It makes it more fun to kind of try to predict or guess or talk about what we would do. So I would say that. I mean, I think we can. It's just about we need to play the game that we play. It's not like it's going to be impossible. I mean, City are a very good team, but like any team, they could have a bad day. Unfortunately, I think personally, I would probably do things a little bit differently, probably, just to kind of counteract some things. But I mean,
shall I get for you to explain what exactly you would like? Shall I at least get I'll get the 4 back formation up again, so you can at least talk me through or talk us through what you would like to do. Because I can't, like, obviously it might not be the same personnel, but at least this is the structure you would want, isn't it?
Yep, and then you just put Pulisic on the left, and then we got it all.
Yeah, but how does that beat City?
You're going to have a lot more creativity in the middle of that field. You're going to need creativity at the end of the day. And I would actually, if you're going to play this midfield pivot, it's going to be Giorgi and Conte. They're going to cover. They're going to be your defensive covered.
Yeah.
So that way you'd have Havertz in the middle, playing his favored position. I'll say it in quotation marks.
I'm not sure about that. The problem is that none of our players have played a central 10.
For me, Clutch, I'm sorry, bro, but Clutch, Havertz is one of the least creative players. He has got like one big chance created in like some ridiculous amount of games. He's not creative at all. And I think,
but again, for stats though, because he's played striker pretty much always. How many strikers have that?
Well, no, he's played on the right or inside forward a lot. He literally never creates any chances. So
how many games was that? 5?
No. There's like a stat. I'll find it for you. It's outrageous. He's got like.
No, I believe the stat, bro. I believe the stat. I'm just saying Kai didn't play non-striker more than like 5 times.
Yeah, but like strikers still create chances, right? So my point is Havertz doesn't create enough chances to play a 10 or an out-and-out 10. And I think
I agree.
I'd like to see a 4-2-3-1 maybe next season, but I think for this, in terms of how you line that up, I think the players are too wide. There's too much space in the middle. I think if you was to have them more, I think this is why Tuchel's playing the 4-3-2, because the wide cams are more narrow. They tuck in more.
Well, yeah, obviously I just painted up like that. Obviously, you would push that all up a little bit, right? And then Cover pushes up a bit more than Kante, presumably, or even they push together. And obviously, the centre backs play up here, like of course. But obviously, to explain to people what structure I mean, I need to like spread it out a bit.
For the 4-2-3-1?
Well, for the 4-2-3-1, it's literally the same thing. You just do that, and then you have these a bit wider.
Yeah, no, that's my point. You can't have them that wide against City. It's too risky. There's too much space. Too much space off the ball. That's why he plays this formation. Because it's they tuck in more. It's not like they're not wide players. They're more narrow.
Yeah, but even in this system, obviously, fullbacks, obviously not Alonso and Aspie, but ideally fullbacks. Like look at any attacking team. Even if you play a back four, the fullbacks are going to overlap. Like attacking teams do that, so you can also get to like this situation. Do you know what I mean? And then they do tuck inside. But
I don't know. Yeah. No. I don't know. It's more to Clutch's point of just the formation. Like I don't think. I guess it's what he wants to see, but like I don't know. I think it's more that a traditional 4-2-3-1 without any tactical adjustments is very open unless you have like massive amounts of control in the middle. Like a 4-2-3-1, traditional 4-2-3-1 with a creator in the 10 and sort of two wide players and the pivot. I would play that against more like lower teams like a Burnley or something like that because it's more attacking. Whereas against City, I'm just like no, unless the wide players track back and like I mean constantly, like they would have to be absolute workhorses. Like it would depend on personnel.
Like William and Jose when we played 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, exactly, because William was mental at tracking back. So like it just depends. Like I don't know. I know Pulisic.
Personally, I think the 4-2-3-1. Sorry, Clutch. Personally, I think the 4-2-3-1 is a bit outdated. I don't like. There's what team plays a 4-2-3-1 these days? Like no one.
I mean, a lot of teams just don't have the right pivots for it. To be honest with you, because as I said, it's about the right balance. In a 4-2-3-1, you really need to have someone that goes
yeah,
forward.
But don't you think they buy players because they don't want to play a 4-2-3-1 in the first place?
No, I mean, I think I see France play it quite a bit. To be fair,
yeah, but like you told me the other day, you can't compare international football. Also, Didier Deschamps is the most outdated manager in history of the world. Do you know what I mean? So like,
you can compare it tactically. I was just more about individual player performances. Like,
do you think you can compare it tactically? Because I think the intensity level is so much lower that I don't think you can.
I can tell you a team right now that does the 4-2-3-1, and they're in the top four.
Please,
West Ham, they do that.
Yeah, they do.
West Ham.
I mean, for being West Ham, they're in the top four. So I mean, the formation's working.
Yeah, but they're only in the top four because 5 teams behind them have loads of games in hand. Like Spurs,
I think they're a really good team.
Spurs, if Spurs win all their games in hand, by the way, they could be level with us. Obviously, they won't win all 3 games in hand, but if they did, they were level with us, which is crazy.
I think that speaks more to us than them.
Sure, but as in, they would also be ahead of West Ham by quite a margin, is what I'm saying.
Does Bayern play a 4-2-3-1 I don't think they
might do,
they
to be
do.
honest. But that's Bundesliga tax. Bundesliga doesn't count for anything.
But you'll see them play in big Champions League games. I wanted
to say to just Clutch's point here, whether you play a 4-2-2, by the way, or a 4-2-3-1, I mean, that's simply tactical instruction. You can't just tell Kai drop a bit and you automatically create literally what you want anyway. It just like that's not even like a drastic formation difference. That's more like an individual instruction difference rather than a formation difference, if that makes sense. Because if Kai's job is to drop, and then Lukaku's job is to come central, other than if we start on the break and then they both fan out a little bit like that. And then obviously you have Mount and Ziyech starting into here, which is how you would do it. That's just instruction for the players rather than a drastic formation difference, if that makes sense. Do you see what I mean, Clutch?
Yeah, I agree. And the only reason I would even put Havertz in that 10 is because that's his self-proclaimed best role. He wants to be in behind.
Did he say that?
Yep. I think he's only played it once under Tuchel or under Lampard, so. But that's what he says. He says, I see myself as a behind the striker player number 10.
Fair.
More of a second striker, I think.
Yeah, I think
he's better.
But the problem is, I think he's best as a striker, to be honest. And I still, to this day, think that Lampard was not wrong. And I think that Kai could be a wonderful attacking aid, personally. I know most people disagree with that, but I firmly believe that because he's quick and he can run with the ball. He can literally just be he can run like Ruben, essentially. If he just did it enough, he could with the ball. And because he's then much deeper, it would be much easier for him to play passes because we've seen him at Leverkusen be creative and have passes in him, but because not from these high positions. He doesn't really have the vision, I think. But once he got further deeper in the pitch, you can see it, and he has the quality to play it. But because the problem with Havertz isn't that he can't pull off the assists or the chance creation, he doesn't even attempt it. And I think if you play him deeper, you're automatically attempt it more. Like his first few games on a Lampard, he barely scored, but had loads of assists. Just because you automatically play deeper. But I mean, if we're talking about what we'd all like to see, right? I still think the best formation in football, and for the reason that Barcelona team was the greatest football team the world has ever seen, is this 4-3-3. I still think a 4-3-3 is the best system to play football, personally. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's
my preferred position.
No, fuck no. If you're talking about Chelsea, no.
Obviously not with these players. Obviously, I'm just.
Yeah, but with like, there's just too many midfielders. Like Tuchel's 100% going to keep the pivot long term. Like, Tchouameni's not an out 6. If we're talking about long term, where would Jorginho? I mean, he's going to be holding bench. Cover as an 8. I mean, doesn't really have the tactical discipline to come back. I'm thinking of Mount. Yeah, but I don't think he's like he should do, but he doesn't.
Needs to be told to have it. I think if someone tells Cover,
I don't know,
you need to do this, then he will do it. I think.
For me personally, I'm a massive pivot fan. I don't really like the 4-3-3, to be honest with you.
No, I do. I think it's just the easiest structure of moving around because you can always comfortably shift that from a 3. But again, I'm not even saying for Chelsea, I want us to play 4-3-3 next season. I agree with Pies. We don't have the players to play a 4-3-3, and we would need too many to make it work. And also, we would need to get rid of too many to not kind of have them standing in the way of each other. So I agree. I'm just because we were just talking about like ideal football philosophies. If they had players that worked in it, I think the 4-3-3 is still the best shape to play in football because it covers you in all areas of the pitch the best. But hey, at the end of the day, it's purely speculation anyway. It's purely speculation. It's not even the right word. What I meant is like ideology rather than speculation. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out here and just finish off with score predictions because obviously we have had 2 lineups up, which was fun to talk about. But again, it's just guessing anyway, is it not? Yeah, Bayern might well play a 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1. Yes, they do because with Müller behind Lewandowski, and obviously then whatever their wingers they choose to use. I'm sorry, but Mount does not play tomorrow at all. I mean, I see it, but obviously you might not have heard that. Again, Mount tends to be bad when he was rested the game before and tends to be good when he wasn't. So,
how many more games? How many more games is Mount going to have to just ghost for someone to actually? Yeah, maybe I'll tweet tomorrow if he plays bad. Let's see what happens.
Do you know how many people would actually love you for that?
I know, but
you know how
people
much
would like literally
people
flip everything. Yeah, I mean, you'd get like a 50-50 split, but there are so many people like nobody says Mount's bad when he plays bad. It's like I'm pretty sure we just rated him like a 4.5.
Yeah, no, but it's true on Twitter. Like no one mentions anything when he drops a stinker. No one. It's so funny. It's like it's just so protected.
Because when Mount drops a stinker, there's different. I think there's a difference between certain players dropping which kind of stinkers they drop. Mount stops a drinker in which he's not stinkers in which he's not involved enough, which is bad.
Exactly.
But not really as much of a talking point because it's not like an individual moment where you effed up. Do you know what I mean? So I think.
Well, apart from the open goal miss, I guess, but
I think a lot of people don't like.
What game was that? Clutch where he missed the open goal. What game was that? The volley. You remember he could have. People said he could have passed. Oh, what game was that?
Give me a second here. I'll look.
The car came up top.
Brighton, maybe.
Was it Brighton?
I think it was Brighton.
Fuck, guys, comments help us out. What game was that? Mount missed an open goal.
Villa, yeah, we won it anyway, but it was Villa, yeah.
Villa, that's it. That's the one. Yeah.
But we won
people let it. If that was like Werner or something, my God. Jeez. he would have got flamed. Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, anyone. People would really let him off for that.
I think the reason why people do go after Mount when it comes to because I think Mount does the one thing that Tuchel wants, and that's why he keeps getting played, which is he wants one of those front three to press like crazy, and I think that's
but Ziyech does though, bro. Ziyech presses like mad when he plays.
Recently, I think Ziyech has been doing that a lot. For the first year of Ziyech, he would not do that. Ziyech was one of the laziest players I ever seen, and I hate to say that about a player, but it seemed like he couldn't be bothered to run. But lately, I think Ziyech has been amazing at that. I think he's been one of the players who, when he's out there, he's going to be the guy to press.
I agree with this comment, by the way. It says protecting Mount doesn't help him. I absolutely agree with that. You see how much, maybe, and I've always said that Tuchel just really rates Hudson-Odoi. That's why he always does the one-to-one coaching and things like that. You know, when he goes, if he messes up one thing on the game, he will go to him after full time, and there's always pictures of him talking. I never see that with Mount or Chalobah or James, you know, if they don't have a great game. But I always see it with Hudson-Odoi. That's why I've always thought he's like his Ousmane Dembele, because he did the exact same thing. Both young wingers, talented, you know, he always wanted to try and improve them. And I don't know, I'd like to see, I'm not talking about, I don't know what happens on the training pitch, but especially social media, just from my perspective, he's never criticised or anything. It's really weird. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's common, but then again, you know, Pulisic does. Tammy used to. I don't know why it is.
But Pulisic is not common.
Did I say Pulisic? I did, didn't I?
You mean
my
Callum?
bad. Yeah, no. I meant
Yeah, but Callum is because of his transfer request. That's why he people don't view him as nicely as normal Cobham as the others.
You've got,
and let's not hide from facts, right? Also racism.
I won't speak on racism because I know people will probably just
let's not. Yeah. But you know, why is Tammy and Callum criticized and none and the others aren't? Well, think about it.
Yeah, but again, I think Christensen, even before contracts, Loftus-Cheek gets it a lot. I'm trying to think who else is Cobham that gets it. Reece James doesn't. I have to admit, Reece James does. Reece James and Mount do not get criticised.
Yeah, even if Reece has a bit of a stinker. But the reason for both of those is, though, they've had a higher percentage of good games compared to bad games than Tammy had, than Callum had, than even Ruben had. Do you know what I mean? Because you gave the comparison, imagine if Werner missed that. And I agree with you.
I agree with Tammy, but Tammy scored 15 MPG one season, or was it 16?
I think it was 16.
People just wouldn't, you know, even if Tammy had a bad game, there was no room for debate. He was just trash. Hudson-Odoi, people forget his good games. If he misses something, he's trash, can't finish. You know what I mean? It's weird how, I don't know, I guess people just have their favourites, and the majority are favourites of Mount and James, and they're great players, but I don't know. It's a weird one.
I was telling Laurenz this the other day, being a smaller account, you kind of see the more negative side of Twitter where people go off on certain players, and you're 100% right. Every player, there's this disagreement between everybody where it's everybody has their player and they can do no fault. And it's there is no player that is above criticism. I don't care who it is. So
you
have to call it how it is. And I feel like we here do it better than most because we kind of see it a little bit different. That's kind of why I like talking about these things so much, is because we all have this conversation. And maybe I think Callum has a bad game. Pius comes in here and makes a couple good points, and then maybe I flip my the way I view the game, right? So I think that's where we come in here, and that's a lot better for us.
What we'd all need to do, really, after we talk to each other after games, we should watch the game back and look at what we didn't look at while it was live, because you can't look at everything. And obviously we all look at certain things, and then we should, when watching it back, look at the complete opposite, and we'd probably have all different ideas of
I think one of my main problems is I'm a very in the moment person when I watch, so I don't always remember stuff. Sometimes I'll come on and Clutch will make a point of he did this moment. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, he did. So it's quite hard. But Lauren, what I was going to ask you was on this just Mount specifically, if he had a bad game tomorrow, I know you'll criticize him, but because I've got this response before where it's well, we have so many other problems, but you're just you're naming this other than this guy, but you're naming, you know, him. Like, take that to Mount. Like, do you agree with that in terms of, like, if I was to put a tweet out about, I don't know, say Mount played bad, and I said, oh, he played bad, he can improve. Do you agree with the response with, oh, we have so many other problems, like, I don't know, say a Werner or someone else, you know, that are less consistent, but you're moaning about Mount. Do you agree with that? Because I personally don't. I think everyone's open to criticism. Do you expect more? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But Mount's been such a staple in this team now for so long that, and you've seen how brilliant it is. So I don't think it's like he should be disregarded now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like if he has a bad game, it's almost like, oh, move on. You know, we've got other problems. He's a good, you know, he's Mason Mount. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of get from it all. It's like,
like there's a mix. If you like, let me explain. Like, two reasons. So number one, if Mount was bad but not the worst player, people will be like, so why haven't you talked about the worst player? But if
exactly,
and
that's like
a few hours later, it's fair.
Exactly, but that's like my point. I'm just like, but I'm not talking about the other players. I'm talking about Mount. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why it's hard.
No, but that's what I'm saying though. If after the game, say, just as an example, because, you know, we have to fit the agendas, Alonso was the worst player, and then maybe Mason was the second best player. If you talk about Mason without talking about Alonso first, people will be like, why are you talking about Mason when it's Alonso's fault type thing? But if you talk about both, I agree with you. But I also will say is Mount has, like I just said, he just has a higher average of, or a higher percentage of good games compared to bad games. And with Mount, none of us, obviously there's a few people, but most players and most fans, we kind of have agreed now that Mount is very good and will only get better and better and better, right? While there's still a lot of debate in how good will Pulisic be good enough for us? Will Callum be good? I know, Pies, you think Callum will be good enough, but there is clearly people that disagree with that. So that's why it's like, well, everyone kind of agrees Mount is good enough. Yeah, he might have a stinker, but then it's still not necessarily as, like, the debate automatically stays smaller because it's more like of an individual game. Well, with Timo, with Callum, with Pulisic, with Ruben, that's why he's getting criticized now, because they're like, oh, but why should he be in the squad? You know, because 2 years ago it was like our midfield squad wasn't as good, and also he was playing much better, obviously. But when the midfield wasn't as good, they don't mention him because they're like, well, he's still one of the better ones that we have, so we can't criticize it too much. But now that he's one of the worst that we have, they criticize him more. And I feel like it's a similar situation with Mount, because they know he is good enough, but sometimes he has a stinker, like everybody has. But when someone that we don't know if they're good enough and they keep playing badly, then you're like, why are we putting trust in them? I think it comes down to that. I'm not saying this is right, by the way. I'm just saying that's why people, in my opinion, do it.
Yeah.
I think there's like a higher expectation for Mount. So like when he goes out there, we expect him to be at the higher level. He should be one of the better players.
Yeah, but
is that
that's
necessarily
my point,
always true?
Yeah.
No,
I don't think that exists actually, Clutch. I don't think that high expectation is there.
I think it's the opposite. I think because if he had high expectation, then I think we'd be seeing a lot more like tweets about it. Like when he goes for like 60, 70 minutes, like you see Havertz is one of the prime examples. Like people mention his price tag all the time, like, oh, and then they go back to, oh, I've got high expectations for him. That's why he's criticised. Like, do people really have high expectations for Mount? Like, I don't know. It's weird because high expectations for me means you get criticised much more. That's why I think he goes on at Hudson-Odoi so much, because I think he knows, like, he knows the talent. Like, I'm not saying Mount doesn't have talent, but like it's weird how he can just get away with stuff. I think sometimes.
For me personally, again, I'm not saying this has anything to do with Tuchel or other fans. For me, it's also, I'm just still to this day surprised that Mount plays as well in this position. Whether it's the right 10 in a 4-2-2 or whether it's the right inside forward in the 3-4-3. I don't know. His attributes, he shouldn't be as good there as he is often. So that's when he's not as good. I'm like, yeah, I know you can play better because you've shown us, but I don't even think you should essentially be having to play in this formation, in this position. Obviously, he has to because the rest of the team works best in this so far. But I'm like, it's like I've never criticized Callum or Pulisic harshly when they've played wingback. Do I think they always should be playing there? No. But when they do play, I'm not going to be harsh on them for not being great at it.
Unless they don't track back, because that's a basic requirement that anyone
That is a
can
basic
do.
thing. But Mount, you will never criticize. You will never be able to criticize the basics about Mason because work rate will always be high enough. And maybe that's also part of it. That the whole lack of motivation, lack of trying hard. No one sees that with Mason because it just isn't there, right? But I do agree. Like obviously on this stream, I can't remember whether you were on here, Pies, after Villa, but probably you were. We definitely knew it was like, what is he doing? But it's like, I will ask this question. Other than Lukaku, I don't think anyone scores the open goal anyway. Like, just because the way the open goal was, how he had to round the keeper, I don't think anyone other than Lukaku has the composure to score that one that Mason missed. I would have expected Mason to do it. And I would say Pulisic, but not off his left. Because obviously Mason came in from the right to cut on his left. So on his strong foot, I'm also sure Mount scores it. I'm sure Pulisic scores it. I would assume Callum scores it, but that might be.
I think other players would have taken like one more extra touch and composed themselves. I think Mount like swiped at that one a bit. I just saw the open goal and just shot.
That. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. He could if they took more time, more players, and he probably would have taken it as well. And he rushed it a little bit. I guess. I don't know. I don't know what you would call the reason for that, really. It's like why would he rush it? But I don't know. Because you just had a 70-meter sprint and your heart is pumping at abnormal, speeds, and you're like, oh shit, I got finished. Do you know what I mean? But if you just receive the ball calmly, you have more time to know what's around you, and do you know what I mean? But I guess that's partly experience and partly quality. I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, the stream has been forever long. Let's round it out with score prediction, boys. Clutch, I'll go with you first.
1-0 Chelsea. That's what I want to do. I want to be positive about it. So 1-0 Chelsea.
Pies?
Oh God. Do you want me to go with head or heart or both?
You can tell me both, mate.
Head, I'm gonna go with 3-1 City. Heart, I'm gonna go with 2-1 Chelsea. But that is only if, and I mean only if, we have the game of our lives. We do everything right tactically, literally everything spot on. We take our chances, we press, everything that Tuchel wants from minute 1 to 90. I think we can win, but I can just see us getting beaten comfortably because I think the squads are still just. The squads overall are still far apart, and City's depth, but especially with our current team, I'm just a bit worried, personally. And the fact that it's 12:30, and the fact that, we're away, and just, I don't know. Let's see what happens.
My head says, like the Stamford Bridge game, 2-0 City. My heart. See, I don't agree that if we're at our best, we win 2-1. I think if we're actually, for once, at our very best, I think we smack whoever it is, and we win 3-0 also at City. But my heart prediction, 2-1, I would probably agree with that. I don't know. And I don't even know who I think is most if I say 2-1, do I think we score 2 goals without having Lukaku? No. But do I think we play well enough to score 2 goals with Lukaku? Also no. So that's why it's if I did a mix of heart and head, I'd say 1-1, maybe 1-0 Chelsea, but that would be more leaning towards the heart. I just don't know. I think 2-2 is what Reniel said. I don't know. Yeah, I said 3.
I think a 1-0. I think a 1-0 is doable if we played prime defensive off the ball. I've seen some mad stuff. I think it was Porto away. Tuchel played a 5-4-1 or something crazy. And they just couldn't break us down. So I think if we had that, then I think we could probably make a 1-0. We just got to frustrate them, man. We need to frustrate them, and then we have a chance of winning. If we let them be comfy, we ain't even got a hopes chance. We have to frustrate them in any way we can because
frustrate them, but also just push them. Like I said, Arsenal had them on the fucking ropes. Arsenal just
exactly you need to twist their buttons. Twist their buttons, question them mentally, you know, because they're not like they're an amazing team, but they are beatable. I'm sorry, they are. Like Wolves fucking beat them like 5-3 last season or some shit. Like it was crazy. You know what I mean?
Southampton should have probably beat them this season if the VAR was capable.
Yeah, like they're amazing, but if you make it a game they don't want it to be, like, yeah, I don't know. I think they're beatable. We saw it in the Champions League final. I thought we was going to get smashed, but we didn't. We won.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, we're going to leave it on this comment by Ahmed. It will be 4-0 for Chelsea. Remember this. Hey, if you're right, I'll pay you a tenner. You know what I mean? Because that's crazy if that happens. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 100 of you, 110 of you still left here. Chances are most of you are subscribed already. Chances are most of you have smashed the like button already. But if any of you haven't, do subscribe and smash that like button for me now. It wasn't intended to be an insanely long stream. Obviously, Lewis joined, which meant 4 people talking about the same thing. And then we did 2 lineups, so everything took a bit longer. And then myself, Clutch, and Pies have just been chatting random waffle about ideology in football, about which formation we would like and why people hate Leicester Mason Mount. But hey, we had a good time. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, I appreciate you very, very much. Honestly, do.
It's true.
Exactly. Check out Pies on Twitter. Link is down in the description. Check out Clutch on Twitter. And obviously check out Jem, who obviously was here earlier. The link to his YouTube channel is down in the description. I mean, check out Lewis as well, but I didn't expect him to be here, so his link is not in the description. So, check out Lewis as well, of course. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's hope we can get this done tomorrow. Upwards and onwards. And I'll see you next time.